certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankin. Today we're doing our top 12 movies of 2022, and as always is tradition, this is not going to be like a typical ranking. Everyone's going to have a chance to present their own lists, and they're going to talk about sort of why they place where they are and all that. It's just one of those ones, like when it comes to like the end of year list sort of thing, I kind of want everyone to have their own list rather than doing a combined list based on what everyone else had seen. So it's always fun, but I've got a great panel here. I've got JD. JD, how's it going?
It's going good. I mean, I think my bottom half was pretty set pretty fast, but once you got to that top half was trying to figure out my top half was one, but I'm looking forward to talking about it with everybody.
And we've got Jonathan Carroll here. Jonathan, how's it going?
Sorry, I was distracted watching some exciting football games. Really good. Happy New Year to everybody. Last year was a very good year for movies, in my opinion. I'm actually kind of charismatic about discussing my favorites because I thought this was probably the strongest year in terms of diverse films across the board. So I can't wait to discuss them.
Also here we've got Jordan Anderson. Jordan, how's it going?
It's going good. Yeah, I got my letterbox list here ready to go. I got my Seahawks game also on. I got my dinner here, so I am ready for this. I'm locked in for the night.
And last but not least, we've got Brian. Brian, how's it going?
It's great. As John said, JC2, a great year for film, a great year for a certain actor whose film might come up tonight. And it was tough. I had one film where this is the spot, but then another film took that spot, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. And yeah, this is like for me, like there's a like it's one of those ones like I always say to myself, I am not going to give too many movies 5 stars. I think all my top 12 are all 5-star movies for me. So it's
really
because there's a few movies I was caught up in this past week or so that I thought might have cracked it. Some just for whatever reason just didn't get in there. But how this is going to work is we're going to I'm going to go around go through their 12 to 9. If someone has a movie higher than 9, say punt or talk about later, whatever word you want to use, as long as it's clear that you want to move the conversation to higher. But yeah, with that, JD, what is your number 12?
So this filmmaker has had my number 12. This filmmaker has had a very interesting career. He started off as one half of a comedy duo, and he slowly kind of moved away from comedy to his own unique brand of horror. This is his third horror movie. My number 12 is Nope.
That's that's my number 11.
Yep, so you can talk about it here unless Jordan or Brian has it higher.
Yeah, okay.
I do not have it.
Okay. I do not. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so I definitely don't think it's his best, but it's somewhere in the middle for me. But I still think, I think there are so many fascinating ideas when it comes to this movie. I think the way it depicts, sibling estrangement is kind of interesting and is not shown in a way that most movies do. They normally haven't talked to each other in several years, and Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer's character, they play two siblings who run a ranch, and normally they're when I see sibling estrangement, they don't talk to each other for several years. They're clearly in communication, but it's just like a distance with one another. They like to get their There would have Jaggers in, and I think that's fascinating. The other thing I find fascinating about Nope is it's this interesting allegory about animal performers. Animal performers, and from the standpoint of, animal performers are instinctively primal and we're trying to domesticate them. And no matter how hard you try, they're just, there's some primal instinct that is still in there, which is why, people have issues with the Gordy kind of portion of it. But I actually really like that portion because that kind of informs Jupe's characters. And most movies wouldn't spend that much time kind of building kind of this secondary character and giving him this backstory and why he kind of thinks he can tame what he can tame. I'm going to open it to the rest of the thing now, but that's kind of my general thoughts.
And Jonathan, you had it at 11.
So I will say this: after my first watch, I would not have it in my top 12. But during the horror marathon, in October, I watched it again, and it really was stronger on my second watch because I focused more on the sound design and the production of it, and it is really strong. And the story behind the sci-fi elements are very, it's really astute. In my opinion, because of how they handle these this plot surrounding this mysterious UFO figure and how they handle it in terms of how they witness it through beyond in the cameras, and so that combined with Jordan Peele's homage to Spielberg's movies, like most notably Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I think that's, and a bit of Jaws if you think about it, because we don't really see the alien.
Yeah.
So probably until like the third act. But I think for me it's definitely a step up from his previous film Us. And I think it's a really strong sci-fi movie in my opinion, more than horror. Even though there is one portion of the movie that is definitely horror and is fantastically shot. And Jordan, Daniel Kaluuya, and Kiki Palmer make a fantastic sibling duo. And Stephen Yeun, while he's underutilized, and that was primarily my problem with the movie, he's actually really good in a supporting role. And it's a really good movie.
But JD, what is your number 11?
This may be a punt. But my number 11 is, I think it's a sequel to a surefire hit, and everybody was looking forward to seeing this particular character again. And then unfortunately the actor who played him passed away. And there was this big question about how they were going to handle it. How are they going to handle this actor who passed away in real life? And I think they handle it very beautifully. I think
that's a pun actually for Black Panther. That's a pun.
I said, well, it's Wakanda Forever, but
that's a pun.
Yeah, but
yes. So if you could, before you start talking about movie, try and say the name quickly so we can.
No,
I thought we were not gonna say tell that.
I know what it is, right there.
Yeah.
All right, then my number 10. This may or may not be on people's list. Is a horror film that kind of caught me by surprise. The trailers didn't look that interesting, and that was because it actually only was 30 minutes of the movie. The first 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes of the movie, 20 minutes of the movie. And it does this weird turn, and it stops and it starts, and it's Barbarian. Barbarian is my 10.
Not on my list, but it's very good.
Either.
It's really good.
Very weird.
I think it caught me by surprise, particularly from the standpoint of, all the marketing was like Bill Skarsgård and Georgina Campbell. They were going to be your two leads, and we were going to be following them for the whole thing. And then 30 minutes in, they kill Bill Skarsgård, And then the other interesting thing to kind of, and then you get this shock, and then we immediately go spend 30 minutes with another character played by Justin Long, who wasn't in the marketing at all, and he's a victim of the Me Too movement, or not victim, but like he's kind of a recipient. He's been outed as one of outed as a kind of abuser. And the fact we don't even know, we don't even see the other person. We only hear her like one line, her voicemail. And because we spend so much time with him, you immediately, or because we spend so much time with him, we know that we don't even need to see that other person. We know that this person is not a good person. And this is when you finally meet up with our heroine later in the movie. You know that this is not the savior she's looking for. And you're screaming at the screen, and there's nothing you can do. I just think it's a brilliant movie with how it deals with how it spends its time, and it's unconventional with how it does it. But that's just me.
Yeah, it's in my honorable mentions. It's a really strong horror film. Had an issue with the abrupt ending, but it's really strong. Yeah. Really good movie.
But yeah, I realized when I did the chat, I did the math. So we'll just move over to Jonathan now, and then go to the 9 to 6.
So it's 12 to 10. All right,
12 to 10. That's
Okay.
what I meant. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
Jonathan, what is your number 12?
My number 12. Again, this was a really good year for movies, so it was tough to rank. My number 12 is Glass Onion.
That's a punt.
Okay.
Jordan muted, by the way.
Yeah, Jordan, you're muted.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that whole time Barbarian's my number 11. Sorry, I'm like saying that.
You know what? Let Jordan talk about Barbarian.
I was just going to do that because
Yeah.
Jordan, you can talk about Barbarian.
Sure, yeah. So, yeah, Barbarian really surprised me. Kind of like JD said, like it's like one movie for the first 30-40 minutes of the movie. Then you start finding out some really creepy things about this house that they're staying in, and then it just kind of transitions into another movie. Like not really entirely, but it just takes like a pretty big shift, I'd say. And yeah, I'm a big Justin Long fan. Like he's kind of playing a bit of a douchebaggy kind of guy, but I mean, I still like him whether he's playing like a likable guy, a not so likable guy, either way. And there's some really creepy images and things that you find out about the house and like the town where they're at, and then it just kind of goes one way. You think it's gonna go, and then it goes the other way. So like I like it because it's a horror movie that's pretty unpredictable. And yeah, the director I've never even heard of him before. It's Zach Krieger, but yeah, I mean I'll see more from him for sure. Yeah, so yeah, it's my number 11.
But Jonathan, we know your 11 is Nope.
But
what is your 10?
Well, actually, my 12. Yeah, my 12 again. If Jordan didn't comment, my 12 was Glass Onion. I know Malcolm.
Yeah.
That
we're going to talk about later.
Number 10.
One of my honorable mentions. That's all.
Okay, number 10 is 11. We have Nope, and then number 10 is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Punt.
Oh,
probably a punt for me. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, that's definitely a punt.
All right.
That was quick. It really is. But Jordan, what is your number 12?
Well, I feel like my list might be pretty unconventional. Might have a lot of different things. It's very personal. It's not like I don't really listen to like too many recommendations. Only if it's like movies that I should maybe watch. Like you should check out this one. But then when it comes to whether or not I like it, I don't really know. I actually try not to listen to anybody else's viewpoint. I just try to make up my own. So my number 12 is actually probably one that not a lot of people would have on there. But I have Halloween Ends for my number 12.
Oh,
I really like that. I like that movie more than others, but it is not on my list.
Well, I can tell you why. is because I think Halloween Ends kind of is a movie made more for if you're a diehard fan of the entire franchise and you grew up watching it, I think you're not really gonna like it. But just for like a casual fan, I've seen like sporadic Halloween. I've seen like Halloween 6. I've seen Halloween 1 and 3, and I've seen that's probably I've seen all the most recent ones, but I still have quite a few blind spots, and I just like how the first 3/4 of the movie, it's almost like an indie film. Like it plays kind of like an indie film with like him almost having like a protege kind of guy. They don't really say it, but I like the guy they have kind of running around doing some creepy things that kind of like some things that maybe Michael Myers would be doing, and I just like the kind of just slow burn, slow tone. I'm not as big on the ending because that's why it is my number 12, but because I think that they really should have given Jamie Lee Curtis way more to do in this movie. They just didn't really utilize her very well, and they really should have. But how they dispose of Michael Myers for good too. I don't want to give anything away. I think that's something that I wish they would do that in like every horror movie. Like why don't they dispose of the killer in that way? But and yeah, and like I like I actually love 3/4 of the movie, and I liked the ending. I still thought that it was good. I just didn't think that it was quite as good as the rest of it. But yeah, I just like it. It's kind of like the Halloween indie movie, so I appreciated that. So
yeah, that's basically my problem with the movie. Is like it's a very good idea for a horror indie movie, not for a finale for a trilogy. It's just really bad.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. I like this movie more than I like Jordan. I like this movie a lot. I think my biggest problem actually with it though is that they didn't go through with having Corey kill Michael Myers. I think that would have been an interesting idea if they I feel like they were just pandering to either the hardcore. They were trying to pander to everybody, where instead they should have just if you're gonna do that thing where he's gonna be the new Michael Myers for 3/4, but then not the whole thing, they just should have gone all the way. They should have gone all the way. They should have killed him. The hardcore fans wouldn't have liked it, but at least it's not trying to pander to those. So that's my biggest issue.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just watch. They're going to find a way to resurrect Michael somehow.
Yeah, in some way.
I refuse to believe this is the end. I think they're going to find a way to resurrect the Halloween.
They've killed him before.
Please.
That's
anybody.
That's to me that's all the more reason to me why they should have gone that way, because they're just going to reboot him eventually anyway. So why don't just go all the way?
Yeah.
But anyway, but Jordan, we know your number 11 was Barbarian. What is your number 10?
Yeah. So my number 10 was a movie that wouldn't have been on my radar until someone really brought it to my attention, and that's RRR.
Hunt.
All right. Sounds good.
Brian, what is your number 12?
My number 12 is a film I saw recently, is Babylon.
Punt.
Okay. Number 11, I'm an animation guy, people know that. I chose a film that's probably a lot. I put Minions Rise of Gru on there. The first Minions wasn't good, but they somehow made it better with I Gru and the whole spy-esque similarity. You got great cast. You got Alan Arkin. You got Jean-Claude Van Damme make an appearance. More comedy with Gru, and Brendan Minions not the main focus as more a side character. And I had a lot of fun with it. A lot of great comedy, and yeah, that's number
Name
11.
is Brian, by the way, not Babylon.
Yeah,
I know.
It's all good.
And my number 10 is a great surprise for me. That is A Christmas Story Christmas.
That's one of my honorable mentions, but it's not.
I'm glad you have that on the list.
Yep.
Solid movie.
I'll let JD talk first, or
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the original Christmas Story, but when this came out, I was skeptical, saying it might be bad, but it was quite surprising. See how we got all the original cast members come back, except for the mom, got recasted. Great story, coming home to celebrate the father passing away, and it was quite heartwarming. And yep, that's my number 10 is A Christmas Story Christmas.
That
I'll
was
say
a
that
good
was better than
surprise.
the original.
Yes.
That was a
I would
good
agree
movie.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Better than the TV movie Christmas Story 2.
Oh yeah, way better than that.
Never saw it.
Yeah. I've seen both. I think it's a good. I think it's a solid choice. The only reason it didn't make my list is because another Christmas movie made my list instead.
Okay.
I think I might know what you're
It
doing.
was a good year for Christmas movies, by the way.
It was.
But anyway, for me, I know my number 12 is already a punt. It's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
That's a
Yep.
punt.
What was
My-
it? I didn't quite hear.
Black Panther.
It's a
Yep.
punt.
My number 11 is Red, the Al Yankovic story.
That's a.
I'm so
one-
glad you have it on the list.
I mean, let me see.
It's really
Yeah,
good.
it's a
I
punt
like
for me.
this movie a lot.
Uh-huh.
All right. And then with that, my number 10 is Matilda the musical.
What? The musical?
Matilda the musical.
Oh,
Matilda.
yeah, that just came out. Yeah. I heard good things about it.
Yeah,
Same.
same. I
Same.
just haven't
Same.
seen it.
Tara, same. Go ahead.
But yeah, like this is one that I didn't know how I was going to feel about this because like I knew they had made a musical of Matilda, which like is from what I understand is more in line with the books than just a musical adaptation of the 90s movie. But it's just one of those ones like the original 90s movie has just been one that I've always loved. But I went and like I had no idea that the songs were written by Tim Minchin at all. It's just and then when I found that is like am I actually going to like this because I really don't like Tim Minchin at all. I'm just not a fan of his other songs, but I went and really enjoying this. And I think Emma Thompson was great as the Trunchbull. And it's one of those ones like, from what I understand in the actual stage show, Trunchbull is commonly played by a man. So, which is an interesting change with what they did in this movie. But it's just one of those ones like, you can't always have something that's directly the same way they do it in the stage because it just turns out to be creepy past it. I'm looking at you, cats.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tour of the Musical was just a lot of fun, and yeah. But
Nice.
with that, JD, we move over to your number 9.
I have a feeling this number 9 is going to be a punt. Pinocchio, Del Toro's Pinocchio.
Let's save it. Let's save it for a little bit, for a little longer, actually.
Yeah.
Unless
Do you have it in your top 5, Jonathan? or-
no.
Yeah, then we can talk about it now. So
Okay, so that's my number 7.
yeah. So we're going to be doing 9 to 7. So
Okay.
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 So, I think animation this year normally is like I'm very obsessed with a lot of animated movies. This year was, I'll be honest, was a bit lukewarm. I think there are a lot of ones that I liked, but I didn't love. But this one, fortunately, came around towards the end of the year, and I think one of my friends of mine described it as delightfully morbid, and that to me always describes Del Toro to a T. And I just love the kind of changes that he did to this story. Number one, the idea of Pinocchio basically just being a baby who can talk and walk is just brilliant. Number two, the idea, the fact that he lies doesn't really. I mean, it's not really a plot point. It is and it isn't. But it's more about the fact that they use instead that he dies because he's a wooden boy. He can die multiple times, and that's how he learns to grow. Is like instead of making mistakes and then he dies. I think that's an interesting kind of idea. There are some great performances in this. David Bradley as Geppetto. They kind of make explicit what's implicit in a lot of other Pinocchio adaptations, that he's an orphan dad, and we spend so much time an orphan, or he lost his son. And we spend so much time with him, and then when it happens, it's so upsetting, and he's so bitter, and that's why he's not paying that much attention to the Pinocchio. I think that's an interesting touch. Getting Ewan, I appreciate the irony of getting Ewan McGregor, whose breakout was Moulin Rouge, and the whole time he does not sing until the credits. He either gets interrupted or he doesn't sing. I love that irony as a comedy runner. There's just a lot of good things, but I'll open it up to the group.
Okay. Yeah, this was my number 7. I think that this is one of Guillermo del Toro's very best movies. Like a lot of people, I question if we needed another one, even after that horrible Disney live action version. But
3 adaptions.
if you looked at the
3
articulate detail behind that animation, it's just glorious and beautiful, and also it's a dark adaptation of how it takes place during the time span in the fascism era between World War I and World War II. And my emotion towards it is real genuine, and it's just remarkable when he just wants to be with his dad again, Geppetto. Even though I don't recommend it to like younger viewers, even people who love the older 40s version, I think this is a movie for like younger adults and people who actually love movies, because you could just be enamored by all the detail and storytelling behind Del Toro's version of it. I think that the songs are really good. The score from Alexander Desplat, it's wonderful. It's great. And and the ending caught me off guard, actually. I didn't expect it to end it that way. And I think it just makes you reflect on the light and dark times of life, especially when you're almost about to depart from this earth. So yeah, it's a lovely movie. It's definitely one of the very best movies of the year. I think it's definitely the animated movie to lose for the Oscar for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, for me, I avoided it because we've gotten 4 live action Pinocchios, and all of them have been terrible up until now.
We got 3.
Watch this one.
We got the Roberto Benigni one. We got
that was a long time ago.
And then, well, they re-released it like it was a new
that
one.
one.
I thought it was new. And then they also had Geppetto with Drew Carey too. Ooh.
Yeah, well, I mean, with the Roberto Benigni, the one that came out in 2019 is a new version of it. It's not re-released, because I think Roberto played Pinocchio in the first edition, and he played Geppetto in the recent one.
The movie is the stuff of pure nightmare fuel. It is absolutely atrocious. I had a whole experience with my whole family seeing that. And, ooh,
those are like, I know we've had a discussion before. I'm not going to get into a big tangent about it. But,
one more thing about Pinocchio. Tom Kenny as Benito Mussolini. That's range from SpongeBob to Mussolini.
Oh my god,
it's remarkable. Yeah. And Kate Blanchett voices a monkey.
A monkey, yes, a monkey.
Wow. So that's great.
Yeah.
Seahawks just scored. Sorry, I had to throw it in there.
Yeah, no, it's just one of the it's just one of those ones, like the designs of the Pinocchio that's not the Disney versions, like that's more in line with what the and pictures of the actual book were. So I mean, it's just so and I think that's what Del Toro was going with this one anyway. But fun fact, Tom Kenny's going to be in 3 Pinocchio movies within 2 years, because he was in the Pauly Shore one that came out this year, and he's going to
that's right.
And he's going to be voicing Pinocchio in another movie that's coming out this year, apparently. So apparently,
that's
Tom
like
Kenny
6
likes the Pinocchio movie.
I think they did peak with this Pinocchio. They already peaked.
That would be 4 adaptations in the span of 2 years. That's insanity.
But anyway, moving off Pinocchio, JD, what is your number 8?
My number 8, I have a feeling, is going to be on nobody's list, but it's Like Noise. Nora Bovok's follow-up to...
I never saw
I
it.
just saw this movie. Go ahead, JD.
You're either going to like this movie or you're not going to like this movie. I actually saw this. I saw this in a theater, believe it or not. I found one of the theaters that was actually playing it, and it's a very bizarre off kilter movie. And the idea of Nora Baumbach going from
Baumbach.
Malbach going to I always butcher his last name. For him going to like Marriage Story to this, I find absolutely fascinating. Basically, just to kind of give a general synopsis, because I'm assuming most people haven't seen it. It's Adam Driver, Greta Gerwig. They are married. They have 4 different kids from different marriages, and Adam Driver is a college professor, and then this airborne toxin gets into the air, and it's them dealing with that crisis. I think it's a very bizarre off-kilter movie. I'm obsessed with Adam Driver's performance in this movie. I don't think many other actors could play this role. He has a weird profession that he's obsessive about, and most people, and it's just presented matter of factly, just accepted. And I don't know how many other actors could play that, and I would buy it, and I do. And because I do buy it, I'm able to go on board this bizarre kind of story. It's a bonkers movie, and I just loved every second of it. But I'll give it to Carol, because it really is a love it or hate it movie.
Yeah,
there's no middle.
Yeah, I need to talk about this because I just saw this a few days ago. So, okay, you just beautifully said the first 30, 40 minutes, probably half of it is.
Yes.
Yes. I think that's what it actually, I kind of stayed with it. So I was actually I like the speculation about what this event is about, and I like that academia off between Driver and Don Cheadle. I did like that. But what about the second half? Oh my God, it's a dead zone. Oh my God, it's like a different movie. It's a different movie. It's like looking at this carpet. I mean, looking at the dark abyss. It's like it's a different movie, and it basically transitioned to this interesting movie about white noise, about speculation of what this event is about, and their bizarre careers. I mean, it is adapted from Don DeLillo's novel, and I think that's also one of the problems with it, because Baumbach usually writes original material.
Yeah.
I don't think he really adapts it truly in the second half, because it transitions to the to a mini marriage story that deals with drugs that it was not suitable for me, and it was totally empty. And it was
trailers look good. I never saw it.
The trailers are good. It's just that I think JD said it. It's going to be a love it or hate it. I disliked it. I didn't hate it. I just hated the second half of the movie. But
I think they planted enough seeds in the first half, like before the airborne toxin event happened, where I understood why this second half was the second half. But again, there's a show note. There is a, like Carol says, there is a tonal shift in the second half. And either you're on board, that they put you, the seeds are planted well enough for you that you're on board with it, or you're not. And that's where you're going to draw.
But with that, there was your number 8. What was your number 7, JD?
Number 7 was the one we punted from earlier, Babylon. It's not a huge punt. We just punted it to the next tier. But I've seen this film more times than I have seen Avatar, the second Avatar.
Wow.
I am obsessed with the atmosphere. So basically the log line is this. There are 5 characters in various points of their career in 1920s Hollywood as they transition to shift to they transition from the silent era to talkies. But what it's really about, it is about this kind of gloss, it is about how Hollywood is a contradiction. To me, that's really what the kind of overarching thesis is. And a lot of people are calling this movie messy, and because it's a contradiction, that's why it's messy. I think that but I'm just obsessed with it because I'm like, they're directly referencing other movies that reference this period, and I think it's a direct comment on those other movies, like Singing in the Rain. And it's like, yes, there's a reason these films are, we filmmakers for various areas have looked at Hollywood with nostalgia glasses, but also it's a period where it will eat you up and chew you alive if you're not careful, and it is very seedy. They've erased a lot. They want you to forget convenient things like how the mob's running Hollywood and there was a production code, but in actuality, these actors were heavy partiers. And it's another one like White Noise. That's why I grouped them together. You're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. But I was just obsessed.
But Brian, you also had Babylon.
Yes, I did. Number 12. I enjoy movies talking about old Hollywood, and this one I enjoyed. The first half was just okay, but when they start, for Dale Caldwell's character was great. I love seeing his story, like how he wanted to work in movies, and his stepping stone, like working with Brad Pitt's character. And the standout for this film for me was the actor Jovan Adempo, who played the trumpet player. He was like my favorite part of the film. And I love how the ending of it, where Diego's characters watches Sing the Rain and notices characters from his past, and he remembers his love for Margot Robbie's character, and I put number 12 for that reason.
Yeah,
I've seen it. Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
I was just going to get in. I just can't wait till it releases in here so I can finally get to see it. It comes out in New Zealand in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I just want to see Margot Robbie fight a snake.
See, that's why that's why I was very vague about it, because I assumed most people haven't seen it, but it definitely, I think White Noise is very similar. And Babylon are similar. No, just from the perspective, you're going to love it or you're going to hate it.
Okay.
It's very divisive because on Rotten Tomatoes, rated low by the critics but high by the fans. So.
I actually agree with the fans on this one. I actually think it's a very good. I think it's a very good movie.
Yeah.
I think it's a great 2 hour and a 15 movie in a very good 3 hour movie. I feel like okay, scratch away the first 5 minutes because I just hate that POV shot. But the 2 hour, 15-minute movie in the middle is just, it's almost a masterpiece, in my opinion. It loses for me in this Tobey Maguire subplot that kind of is reminiscent of Boogie Nights. It felt like a Boogie Nights lookalike moment. And I felt like Tobey Maguire's storyline, it was cartoonish, whereas the other material was more relatable for the era from the 1920s to 1930s. So, yeah, I don't really get the hate for this movie. I think it's a very good movie, but
the score's fantastic as well. It's my favorite score.
Oh yeah, score's great. I love the score.
Nice.
But Jonathan, we go back to you. What is your number 9?
Let's see. Your 7 was Babylon, right? JD?
7 was Babylon.
Okay, my number 9 is, it's going to be a little artsy. Decision to Leave.
So we'll talk about this. We'll talk about this in a second, Caro. I'll let you go.
All right. Yeah, this is. I'm gonna probably have the most intellectual top 12. So this, along with Nope, are the movies that stayed with me, and I'm gonna play it off here. I don't know if the rest of you have seen it. So this movie is about an insomniac detective who works in Busan, and he does not have time to see his wife, but he only has time to see his wife once a week. And he and his partner encounter a dead body of a immigration worker who had fallen off a mountain. And they bring in his widow, an immigrant from China who works as a nurse at a senior care facility. So the detective suspects her aloof behavior because of her husband's death. She doesn't react the way that widows react to a husband's death. So he stalks her outside of her apartment building and becomes obsessed with her as he gets closer to the truth. So what I described it as director Park Chan-wook, who directed Old Boy and The Handmaiden, it's his version of Vertigo. And if you strip away the nuttiness and the twin woman aspect, it's definitely more restrained, as it focuses more on the character's motivations and its mystery, and a kind of a quietly sexy romance, if you think about it, because the main lead is a sexy, unconventional femme fatale. She seeks the thrill, and it leads to a I don't want to spoil it, but it leads to a conclusion in which it's the mystery lingers with the character, with sounds of nature just occurring in the background, and it's left on a note where you think about what happened throughout the course of their characters' arcs. So it was definitely a well-crafted romantic mystery film with a detective story that just leaves you with so many thoughts and emotions, and it definitely stayed with me for sure. Look, there's one other foreign film that is higher than this that I'm rooting for to win, but even though it is a fantastic year for foreign films, this one and another one I'll bring up later. Yeah, it's a strong year for foreign films overall, and if we have time for honorable mentions, I'll bring it up later. But yeah, Decision to Leave. I think it's just a remarkable film.
Yeah, Chan-wook Park is an amazing director. I need to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and I have not seen Old Boy yet, so I know
you haven't seen.
I have not seen it.
I've
I've seen
seen
the
that.
other, The Handmaiden and Thirst.
So here's what I'll say about the movie, because me and Caro have talked about this a little bit somewhere else.
Really? Not much. But
go
go ahead.
I said a little bit. I think this is a case of bad timing. I just saw it this week for the first time. It just came on Mubi in the US here. Because the first 30 minutes play out pretty, pretty much like your average kind of like thriller, like detective thriller. And I'm just like, for the first 30 minutes, I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing what the hype's about. What's the hype about here? I'm not seeing it. I mean, it's fine, but where's the hype? And then that turn, as Caro says, happens, where it becomes, I'll say, more of a Phantom Thread, where it's a kind of cat and mouse game, and a kind of kinky cat and mouse game. And that, to me, that's where I became on board. And it has stuck with me. So if I had just watched this like a month ago, I have a feeling this would be on my list. But that's just
that's a good comparison. Phantom Thread.
Yeah. But Jonathan, what is your number 8?
I think I saw a post on Facebook, and I was just passing by that nobody really stayed with it. And number 8 is The Fabelmans.
Punt.
Nah.
Yep, I knew it was you, Jordan. Yeah, that was
yeah. I was like,
yeah, okay, all right. And number 7, I brought it up, was Pinocchio. So
Which means we move over to Jordan for your number 9.
all right. So my number 9 that we can talk about was Weird, the Al Yankovic story. So, and yeah, that movie just blew me away because I grew up a massive fan of Weird Al Yankovic. I've seen him 4 times in concert, and he puts on an incredible show. He gets in all the costumes. There's like parts of the show where he's like throwing like fake fruit into the audience for like eat it, and then like he has all the Lady Gaga costumes for that song, and just a lot of cool stuff. All the Michael Jackson outfits. So and Weird, like the thing is like it might be one of those movies that maybe plays more to people who are big fans of Weird Al, because I mean it's a parody movie, and if you know Weird Al, like it pretty much like it almost has to be like I mean it doesn't have to, but like it's so much better that it is. That just made me love it so much, because like most of the stuff in the movie didn't happen exactly like how it's told. There's some pretty big parody things, but there's a couple of things maybe that really were true, like how he wrote one of his first songs in the bathroom, My Bologna, and all that. But yeah, like I loved all the music. Like my favorite Weird Al song of all time is Amish Paradise. So when that came on, I was like cheering. I was like, yes. And then the song at the end of the credits is a cool original song that even talks about like how the song could get nominated for best original song. So it was
But it
cool.
can't. It can't.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not. But yeah, but like I just love all the stuff with Madonna, like the stuff with Dr. Demento, which I thought that was perfect casting, having Rainn Wilson in there, because if you know what Dr. Demento looks like, it's a pretty spot on. And then just all the different cameos, like when he goes to some parties, you see all these different cameos. So it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that'll be my number 9. Weird.
Yeah. Like, and I know, like me and Jordan have had been opposite ends. This is probably the one movie that I wish did get a theatrical release. Just for the fact that I would have loved, like, I think Daniel Radcliffe could have been in the race for best actor. I think the way he embodied Weird Al was really good. I think he could have been up there, and I would have loved to see like Weird Al be able to sing his song at the Oscars. But yeah, I mean, and I did sort of see like Weird Al did try to get Roku to go, to get it theatrically released just so it could be Oscar eligible, but the Roku just wouldn't budge. They just wanted to be eligible for Emmys or something for whatever
got
reason.
it for free, so we didn't have to pay any money for it. So that was nice.
So,
I love this movie. It was on my honorable mentions. Daniel Radcliffe, just a vivacious performance from him, and probably the funniest ending of a movie in 2022.
So
I'm
just mad because I know I would love this movie, but I don't have a Roku, so I can't see it.
I know that's what sucks about it.
Roku doesn't exist in New Zealand.
It's like it's not even like it would probably be on my list if I could see it.
Well, you can go to the website and watch it on the Roku website. I'm pretty sure. Like,
yeah. I don't know. I think you still need to be a Roku subscriber. I kind of illegally downloaded it.
Don't say that.
Wink, wink.
I hear you.
No, it's funny. No, Weird Al actually put out a tweet going, I know you really want to see my movie, but you need some very personal or use some weird acronym for VPN or something, or or you could just torrent it. Like, he was encouraging people to pirate it if they didn't want to sign up for Roku. Because I'm pretty sure Weird Al has a song called "Don't Download the Song," which I think is one of the most downloaded songs.
Yeah, right. He does.
So I mean, it's one of those ones like Weird Al just wants people to see it like any way they can.
Yeah,
I'm just lazy.
I just really hope it gets a physical mediums. I would love to actually own it.
Yeah, hopefully.
But Jordan, what is your number 8?
Let's see. My number 8 is is Marcel the Shell with shoes on?
Still a punt.
Oh,
Okay.
Interesting.
Sounds good. I figured that it might be. But
Number 7.
my number 7, I don't think it's going to be a punt, but we'll see. My number 7 is Scream.
It
So-
is my number 7.
no. Very
Oh,
good
nice.
movie. I was
Nice.
very surprised by that movie.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
year for
So,
Jenna Ortega. Good year for her.
yeah, the great year for Jenna Ortega. She's killing it, and yeah, I'm just a massive Scream fan. It's my favorite horror franchise of all time. I think that every single Scream movies had phenomenal writing, and even Scream 3, people kind of like think that might be the lesser one. I still defend that movie, but yeah, and I like that they brought back the original cast, and they weren't afraid to do some kind of gutsy things with the original cast, and then and yeah, the new cast that they brought in, I thought was really, really solid, and it's something where like I kind of noticed that they were releasing a new Scream movie every, it's either 11 or 12 years, something like that. So like I'm thinking, well, we're not going to get one for another like 11, 12 years, but we're getting one next year. So with the Scream Takes Manhattan or whatever it's going to be.
Ghostface takes Manhattan.
Yeah. So, but
Kind of crossover Jason Takes Manhattan.
yeah, right. But yeah, like it was just fun from beginning to end. Like I thought that the writing was still on par. Maybe not quite with the original because that's an all timer for me. But I still had a great time and like kind of seeing how they brought the original cast back in the way that they did. And yeah, like just a fun time. So yeah, Scream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried with the fact that we're getting another one, like, or not exactly, but it's all pretty close to it. So I think
Yeah.
it's March or something that's coming out.
Yeah, March.
I'm a little worried that they've just rushed into another Scream movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, if the it could be one of those cases where they had the bare bones of the plan for Scream 6 in place while they're working on 5. So I mean, so I know, but yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about a movie that's not come out yet. But I know everyone's upset about the fact that Nev Campbell's not coming in. It might just be just.
We'll see.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if she comes back or not, I don't know. But it could just be she's
could be a
not
fake
needed
out.
for. It's just. I mean, it could also be that she's not needed for this, and so which she could come back in a 7 or something. If the, but yeah, when it
I want
comes,
to bring up something. Well, Scream 2 was released the following year.
oh yeah,
Scream, so
I
and that
know,
was a good movie. So
yeah. No, I'm not saying that it Screams. I'm just a little bit worried that they rushed into a 6, but
Sure.
but yeah, it's one of those ones like with Scream. Like I hadn't actually seen the franchise until last year. Like when 5 was coming out, I was like, well, I'm going to actually watch the first 4 at beforehand, but it's just one that just got pleasantly surprised was it had what's her name from In the Heights in this, and I thought she was great.
Melissa Barrera.
Yeah, but it is just one of those ones. I really like the fact that they kind of made fun of the fact there's like on horror movies that just come out with the same name with a sequel. It's like
why do they do that? Just name it Scream 5. I mean, don't be afraid of numbers, or make it colon like whatever. Have a subtitle.
Oh yeah, but I mean, but with the Scream with the franchise though, it's one of those ones that I think they told this one Scream intentionally to play on that joke in the movie.
This is what I wanted to talk about. It's in my honorable mentions. I was mad when they announced it as Scream, but it's clearly it's clearly intentional from the standpoint of, like Halloween, where they just like reboot quo, where they just conveniently ignore certain movies, and it's a play on that. So once I saw the movie, I'm like, okay, now I get why they did this. But I was mad at the time.
especially with the fact they went back to numbers for 6.
Yes.
So yeah. So that was Jordan's number 7. So move over to Brian for your number 9.
My number 9 is a sequel to a film I loved back in 2020. That is Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Okay.
Yep. I really loved the film. First, this film was a good surprise for me how much I enjoyed it. Jim Carrey up his game for this film. Even got the ultra and with him doing some all tuning. Knuckles, great addition to the cast with Idris Elba voicing him. He was like the MVP, and I quite enjoy how they got the original voice of Tails in the movie. Like usually we get like certain celebrity voicing a major character, but this time we got a voice actor from the game voicing the character, and I quite enjoy the film a lot. So that's my number 9, Sonic 2.
It's a very I surprisingly enjoyed it more than the original.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Number 8. I'm not sure it's going to get punted, but I got the Banshees of Inisherin.
Slight punt.
Okay. And we discussed earlier, Black Panther Wakanda Forever is my number 7.
Yep.
Which one did he say? Which one did he say?
Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever, but number 7.
The
That one's
Fable?
still a punt for me. It's like way higher.
Okay.
But move over to me. And just based on discourse, I have no idea how this is going to go. But my number 9 is Avatar: The Way of Water.
Honorable mention for me.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, like with all the discourse about this movie, like especially, I think there was at one point Avatar: The Way of Water was about 90% on Rotten Tomatoes for critics, so I had no idea where this was going to go. But yeah, this is one that I'm one of the few people that do really enjoy the first Avatar movie, and but it was also one of those ones like is the rate worth it? Is it just going to turn out to be one of those ones that when I see it, it's like, well, the rate was just it like, but I mean, it's one of the about just seeing it. It's clear that James Cameron like took his time for a reason, and especially for all the underwater scenes that they had to do, and all that, and just. It's just one of those ones like you could tell he put his care and all that, and the fact that like all the actors were actually underwater, and like doing their own mocap and that. It's not just like CGI for the sake of CGI and just random people. But apparently, from what I've heard, is Kate Winslet has the record for being able to hold the breath underwater for about 7 minutes. So. But she probably had that training with Titanic, let's be honest.
I just got off this movie. Succinct reaction is it's very good. I think it was well worth the wait for the special effects.
Yeah, the special effects
and the craftsmanship.
Yeah.
It just took too long for the plot to kick in.
I agree.
Yeah, they could have cut about 30 minutes off of that. Moving it
that's it.
Been
but
better,
that's
I think.
Not only that, I feel like that the Water Tribe could have been Avatar free, and you really could have expanded out everything that happened before, and that could have been Avatar 2. And I feel like it would have been a lot better for it. I truly feel like this is James Cameron's Matrix Reloaded, and I don't mean that as an insult. I happen to like, I think it's okay, but I think it's similar from a standpoint there. Yes, both films are visually stunning. They're technical marvels, but they throw a lot of information at you, and you don't really have a chance a lot of the times to breathe. I think, and I like Matrix Reloaded. You kind of hope this third one is gonna make Way of Water better, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't hate it. And I also was a huge fan of the first Avatar, which is what made me more angry about this one, is because I love the first one, and the story is way more functional in the first one. You can call it, generic, but that's James Cameron's movies. They're not known for their kind of amazing storytelling, but they're always technically sound. So those are my biggest problems with it.
Yeah,
But it's
I mean,
it's fine.
it's like it's one of those ones. Like for me, like if you're going to make a movie close to 3 hours, you need to keep me entertained.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I may bring it up if another movie that I think is on people's lists that's not on mine will come up. But
Yeah, I would say its third hour is the best hour of the movie.
yeah, and
It is,
but
yeah.
but yeah, I was entertained from start to finish of Every Other Way I Would. Like I think this is probably. I actually I've been watching. I've seen the first one. But I'll probably watch it once the second one drops on Disney Plus, and then eventually I'll probably watch them both sort of. And then compare, but I actually like this better than the first one.
Yeah, I quite
Yeah.
enjoy Stephen Lang's
Same.
performance in this film compared to the first one. I like his character growth in the second one more.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I know I'm in.
But we'll say that there's
minority.
one little moment. Oh,
Go ahead, Jordan. Go
you can
ahead.
go ahead. Oh yeah. I was gonna say that there's one little moment that really pissed me off near the end of it, but I can't really say what it is without spoiling anything. But if anyone wants to know off air, I can tell you. There's a quick little moment like why'd they make that decision?
Is that I know I'm in the minority to think that I think the first Avatar is better than the second Avatar, but I look, I people who love this movie, I'm really glad. I wanted to love this movie, and I'm just like, yeah.
I mean, as of right now, that was highest grossing film right now. It's ranked number 7 highest grossing.
Yeah. But it's just one of those ones like and even with the cast, I think the cast was actually pretty stacked. Like it took me a while to realize that Jake's daughter was Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
Or is she?
She did a good job.
Yeah.
No, it was Sigourney Weaver voicing the kid.
Yes,
but also it's just
Range.
one of those. But it's just one of those ones like even outside of that, there's some like actors that just popped up which I didn't realize. Like Cliff Curtis was the voice of was the chief of the Water Tribe. And Giovanni Ribisi just popping up out of nowhere, which I totally did not expect.
I gave Austin a hard time because he hates Giovanni Ribisi, and he's like, he's in freaking everything.
I will say the one thing I'm obsessed by is Edie Falco drinking a cup of coffee in her mech suit. I was just kind of obsessed with that.
Yeah, that was a little kind of like, whoa, that's kind of trippy.
And Stephen Lang is really good in this movie. That's the other thing that I really want to say. Like, he basically goes through the first Avatar in this movie, like his own warped first Avatar journey, and I loved every second of that.
I mean, it's one of those ones like looking at what is in line for potential popping up on Best Picture of the Oscars this year. Like, there could be a good amount of blockbuster movies popping up in that tier.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like the ones I've seen sort of popping up that people are saying could pop up, like Avatar: The Way of Water, Glass Onion, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
No, that's not going to be nominated.
But I think there is a potential third of that list. It's just not. It's not the one you said. It's one that I think will probably be on people's list.
Yeah. Well, we'll say there's kind of a weak year for those Oscar type of movies. Like it's kind of a weaker year for that. I don't know.
That's a good year for Oscar.
I thought so. Like, well, a lot of disappointments. I'm like that should have been Oscar worthy, and it wasn't that good. There are a lot of movies.
I mean, it's one of those ones like all art is subjective. It's like, it's just one of those ones that, like, you just never know which way the Oscars are going to go. To be honest, and it's just it's just a very strong year for movies in general. The fact we had to actually, but anyway, moving on. I don't know if this is still a punt, but my number 8 is Glass Onion.
I think so.
Really? Interesting.
It looks like this is what we were talking about then.
Yeah, go ahead, Malcolm, and I'll go next.
Yeah, mentions.
It's one of those ones like when it comes to murder mysteries, like I love a good murder mystery, and And I'm undecided at this point whether I prefer Knives Out over Glass Onion or the other way around, because to me they're both really good.
Glass Onion.
Especially at taking like the Agatha Christie style of murder mystery, and using Benoit Blanc as that anchoring point, and just move and going on. And this was just a lot of fun, and definitely a little bit bittersweet about especially with a couple of the cameos. Spoilers, I'll give you about 5 seconds to sort of mute the video or something if you haven't seen Glass Onion and don't want spoilers. But this is the last movie for Angela. Yeah, this is the last movie for Angela Lansbury and Stephen Sondheim. They pop up playing Among Us with Benoit Blanc, which
Yes.
which I
Yeah.
found it funny
This is awesome.
Oh God.
which I found it
It's
funny
so
that the world's
beautiful.
greatest detective can't solve Among Us.
Yeah.
But
thought you
yeah,
were-
I mean,
I thought you were gonna give the other one away.
Which one? No,
Um,
those are the two that was deceased.
Oh, deceased. I didn't hear.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those ones. Like, I know there's a lot of people going, "Oh, it was really predictable and all that." I didn't find it predictable. It's like it's
No,
one
I
of those
didn't
ones.
either.
Like, if you are expecting it just based on what the characters are, then of course you're going to find it predictable. But I try not to sort of analyze the characters, because just like the first one, like all the way through, I was going a different way than what the movie was telling me. Then when that reveal happened, there's like I was thrown off by that twist, and I had the same thing here. It's like, oh shit.
I
And
thought Knives Out was very predictable. I could predict that, but not Glass Onion.
Okay.
well, I mean, it's one of those ones. Like, if you're reading too much into the clues, you can probably predict it. On a first watch, I will probably get around to a rewatch at some stage.
This is.
But it's just one of those. On a first watch, especially with murder mysteries, I try not to read too much into them, because otherwise I probably will end up predicting it. I just want to just sort of let myself go and watch the movie. But
Yeah.
who
Who's
else?
my number 12?
Yes. So Jonathan, what do you?
Yeah, that's the one little quibble for me. Like, I predicted right away who was gonna be behind this whole murder mystery.
But it still made your top 12.
But
Nice.
people say it's about the journey and not the destination, and that's what it was for me. The journey was so much fun. I was having a blast throughout about 90%, 95% of the movie, because 2 reasons. And one has to do with the setting and where it takes place, and we all relate to it, not in the way that we relate to their status, but the pandemic. And everybody's like freaking out about it in different ways, and how everybody's handling the issue of the pandemic in the beginning of the movie. And then the second thing is I don't know if I want to spoil this one. I think almost everybody has seen it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. Here's a spoiler. Janelle Monáe. Janelle Monáe's performance is excellent. She plays 2 characters, twin sisters, one with a better status, a great status of wealth and knowledge behind this tech company, and then the other from a southern state. I don't know. I forgot where though, but she plays both of those characters really well. And when they get to that part of the movie where we interact with the sister, I loved how she's switching around in both ways as we figure out how we get to the destination. So it's basically the Daniel Craig and Janelle Monáe show for about second half of the movie. But the rest of the cast is fantastic. I think it's Kate Hudson's best performance in a while. Dave Bautista was funny as the men's rights YouTube streamer. Jessica Henwick, Catherine Hahn, Leslie Odom Jr., Edward Norton. They're all good. It's fun, and making a fun of director Ryan Johnson making fun of this sharp social commentary about the ultra rich. And we had a lot of these contents about the ultra rich this year. So, yeah, Glass Onion. I think it's a little better than the first movie, which I felt like the first movie it was a little hard to predict. And despite me predicting who it was behind this whole mystery, I still had a fantastic time with the journey itself.
Yeah, and especially in the year where Elon Musk took over Twitter, I think this was the timing of the specific one being the one that the second one that Warren Johnson was planning. It was just a perfect timing.
It was good strategy as well, playing in theaters and on Netflix afterwards. It was good strategy.
Oh yeah.
I wish it had played in theaters though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones like
So
it got it like it's got its usual Netflix a week.
I saw it in theaters. It
advanced
was playing in theaters.
release.
I was at for 1 week, so I saw it.
Yeah.
I was considering doing a drive, a 4-hour drive to the nearest place that was playing it for me, but I just didn't have the time.
Yeah, I did a 1 hour drive.
But,
I also saw it. I saw it twice in theaters. Actually,
wow.
I think it's the best edited movie this year. I'm really fascinated, Malcolm, when you go back and do your rewatch, because I picked up like on how brilliantly how it's shot and how to use pans in the second watch. So I would be very fascinated to hear when you do your second watch of it.
Oh yeah, and it's one of those ones like. I mean, I think my favorite line is the whole interact. I can't remember who it was, but the whole it's so dumb, it's brilliant. No, it's just dumb.
I like that.
That was Birdie. That was Kate Hudson.
Yeah.
No, it's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Yeah. Well, Daniel Craig too. It's just like so good. Like I wouldn't mind seeing that third movie with this character. Like like I love that character. It's so good.
We're gonna get a third movie.
There's stuff somewhere that trying to do with the Muppets or something. Trying to dive out with Muppets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those ones that I think Daniel Craig's going to be anchoring point. I think like it's just going to keep on being Benoit Blanc. I kind of wish they called it Knives Out, a Benoit Blanc mystery and not a Knives Out mystery, but that's just me. And I know Ryan Johnson said he doesn't like that either.
Yeah. You're 7.
My 7 was Scream. I've already talked about that.
Oh yeah.
Right. JD, what is your number 6?
I don't know if this is going to be a punt. It is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So I guess
on my list, but it's very fun.
No.
So, like Jordan, this is my list is what I enjoyed the most, not what I think is the technically best made movies of the year. And I could just watch Nicolas Cage and Pedro Pascal reenact movies for hours. Like, just give me another series where they the whole Mary series where they're just spending each episode as a mini reenactment of different action movies. So Nicolas Cage is playing Nicolas Cage. In case you didn't hear about that, and he is down on his luck. I really appreciate how he plays up this, like, he just plays on how people perceive Nicolas Cage and then just like morphs that to 11, and his whole family doesn't understand that he's in his own little world. And then there's the opening scene where he's doing the audition with the Boston accent. He's like, okay, I'll audition. I'll never audition, but I'll audition. And he does this bizarre Boston accent. And then he gets interacted into, he gets asked to join a what he doesn't know at the time, what we think is a drug lord's birthday party to pay off his debts, his debt to the government. And I just said, it's just, I could just said it I just love this movie. I'm also gonna butcher this guy's name, but he's in everything. Mike Wazowski.
Ike Barinholtz.
Ike
Yeah.
Barinholtz, yes.
Yeah, Bruno.
He plays such a brilliant jackass.
Yeah, he's
such a brilliant jackass in this movie. He just comes on with the right comment at the wrong time. And I just love I love so much about this movie. And again, it's just the chemistry between these two actors and this friendship, and it's so joyous. And I'll open it to the group. But yeah, I love this movie.
It was a great
Very
film. I also love how Pedro Pascal's favorite film of all time is Paddington 2.
yeah. Even he has to defend that
Told you
bear.
so.
And I love how that's an opening to is like get his like an opening to like rekindle with it, reconnect his connection with his daughter. He's like, "You want to see Paddington 2?"
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we need a third movie in the trilogy of a celebrity goes to a drug lord's birthday party because Red was about the Red L going to Pedro or I'm not sure it is that then Nicolas Cage was going to Pedro Pascal's birthday party, who kind of isn't a drug lord, but
he's the front, so he's involved even if he's not the actual drug lord.
Yeah. But with that, and from this point on, we're going to go one at a time with the ranking. So,
Okay.
Caro, what is your number 6?
The Banshees of Inisherin. I know it was
8.
Yeah. Nobody else? No? Okay.
Nope.
So I will say this. Like I think that with white noise. I think the Banshees of Inisherin, I think that this one, if you buy Martin McDonagh's style, you'll definitely enjoy this movie. If not, I understand. So this is basically a tragic comedy about a friendship breaking up. And Martin McDonagh reunites with two fantastic actors, Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who work together in Bruges, a very good movie. And basically taking place on Ireland at the end of the Irish Civil War. Pedrick and his drinking buddy, Colm, are suddenly distant for no reason, except that Colm reveals that he's just boring. And that's pretty much it. And he's been ignorant of him because just because. And we don't really quite figure out why, but it's just an exploration of just a friendship just suddenly disconnecting. Now, the reason why I think it's tragic is because many of us could relate to it. I mean, long-standing relationships or friendships can fall apart at any time if we lose connection. And we just linger on the questions as to why they break. And sometimes there's no conclusion, and sometimes there is a conclusion, and sometimes there's a conclusion, but we do not want to know or speculate. So we just move on, just to focus on ourselves and be happy. But even though I like that it's not a complete downer, because there are definitely great elements of the story that is actually funny. And I think one standout besides the cast, Farrell, Gleason, Kerry Condon, and how do you pronounce his name? Barry Keoghan or
Keegan?
Yeah,
Okay.
Keegan.
Keegan. Okay, so
he was great.
He was fantastic. I think all four of them have a shot to be nominated. To be honest,
I agree with that.
So I think that, but the MVP for me is the donkey. I mean, it's just the donkey is like just a great, donkey. Just a great pet, and I like that he is connected with that donkey, and just a great pet to be with. But I like that it's mostly a funny, sometimes sad observation of why we question that a person's kindness would be remembered instead of someone's achievements. And that is brought up in the best scene of the movie, where he brings some interest to Colm for the first time in a long time. So I think it's a great film. I think it's one that I would definitely rewatch in years to come. And again, if you don't buy the humor or subtlety behind it, I understand.
I just don't think they said the word feckin' enough. They said that word about 100 times in that movie.
I knew
Feckin'
someone's
this
going to
and
bring that
feckin'
up. I knew someone was
Yeah.
going to bring that up.
So
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Brian,
Yep, I came to this film pretty late. I saw a few months ago. I heard nothing but good things. I heard from Austin recommend this film. I was able to watch it on Disney Plus, which is available for me here in Canada, and I quite enjoyed the chemistry between Leeson and Farrell. Even the Carrie Condon was great in this film as the sister. Such a great tragic comedy, great performances. I could see this getting a few nominations. Great year for Colin Farrell. Like,
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
Colin Farrell had
a great year.
an amazing year. Yeah.
Yep, and
Yeah.
that's what I chose for number 8, based on the performances.
Nice.
but anyone else with anything to say on the Banshees?
No,
Broncos
well, I
won?
was gonna say that I didn't
Okay.
have it high enough because I just didn't feel like there was that much going on. I mean, there was the relationship,
understand.
but it was just kind of just like
So
a little slow for me. So that's why.
I think I'm similar to how Carol feels about Babylon. I think it would have been a very great, like, 90-minute movie. As a 2-hour movie, I thought it was fine, but it didn't. It kind of lost me in towards the last third. It got a little repetitious at a certain
I
point.
thought the last third was the best part for me.
Yeah, mine too.
I mean,
Or the
I-
middle.
I mean-
I just feel like it would have been a very solid 90-minute movie, and I feel like it gets a little repetition at certain points in the movie. That's my personal opinion. But
Yeah, you're gonna have to tell me off chat on the private chat actually.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk more off chat.
Yeah.
It's a bigger discussion. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want
I
people
mean,
to see it. It's a good movie. I want people
Yep.
to see it.
yeah, I just haven't got around to seeing it. I'm glad to know it's going to end up on Disney Plus for me eventually. It's still in cinemas for me, though, so it's probably not going to be a Disney Plus for me for a little bit. But I mean, talking about weird things that was on Disney Plus. Barbarian is on Disney Plus.
And the menu.
You guys in those other countries have the weird stuff on Disney Plus.
Well, they have that.
Is the menu going to be on Disney Plus too? It's not. It's
Yeah,
not on Disney Plus yet for me, but
For me, it's available.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So it means it will be available for me eventually. But anyway, Jordan, what is your number 6?
Give it time. We're gonna have something. We're gonna have something like that for Disney Plus here too. But I think
we are
the US version of this.
Well, they just for Disney Plus they announced like the parental controls. So like they try to log in one day and it's asking for your age and all this information. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah,
But
yes.
because of that.
I mean, this is a longer discussion that's related there. But the one thing I say is it's probably. I mean, and they may not be because it might just be Hulu for you guys. It's because like overseas, like we've all got the Star Edition, which is mostly the stuff that would appear on Hulu for you guys. So so they may not be end up on Disney Plus unless Hulu merges with Disney Plus eventually. But anyway, Jordan, what's your number 6?
Yeah, so my number 6 is Prey.
Which
and
one?
Yeah,
Prey.
Prey. Prey. No,
yeah, the
Prey,
Predator
no.
movie, like with the Native Americans and all that. Yeah, that.
Yes.
And
Good selling point.
yeah, right. Well, that's just like the like 2-second description for someone who's like, "What's Prey?" Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot more than that with the Predator just coming to a different time period, and this is like a big discussion me and Malcolm had. Like, this movie should have been released in theaters. Why would it not freaking released in theaters? It's a movie that I think it would have made decent money in theaters, but they decided to just put it on Hulu here, and like it just, I mean, like it's still good, but I would have loved to see that on the big screen. This movie was just really, really like well acted, well directed, well edited, I thought, and yeah, like it was really kick ass to just see the Predator just like an earlier version, kind of one that maybe isn't maybe quite as technologically advanced as far as like the look of it and stuff. And just seeing it go toe to toe with the Native Americans, I thought was a lot of fun to see. And yeah, it comes from Dan Trachtenberg, who did 10 to Cloverfield Lane, which I really enjoyed also.
Mhm.
And yeah, like afterwards, I was having a discussion with some friends. Like, just keep this thing going. Like, who wouldn't want to see the Predator go toe to toe with like pirates, with samurai, put them in like all different time periods, put them with like
Samurai?
yeah, or like with Vikings, put them with like medieval times, all those different things. There's like so many different ways you could go with it, and like
Yeah.
I would be there for it. Like, just one of those kind of, for me, like if they went that way, they'd be just kind of like a popcorn kind of just like going to have fun, just see him take on different people. But even Prey though, like I thought that like is really well written too, and well acted too. So it was more than just a popcorn flick for me. And yeah, I thought that it was great. I've already watched it 3 times this year. So yeah, Prey would be my number 6.
A couple of things. One, yeah, Predator versus Samurai. Oh God, pitch
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Okay.
Not amazing.
Second of all, yeah, real good movie, real good surprise, and I think best dog in a movie in a long time.
Yeah.
Here's what I have a couple things too. One, this should have been theatrically released. That was a huge that was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
Huge mistake. It would have been huge. And
Yep.
it's cheap, and so you easily could have that
made
would have
money.
been a solid hit for Disney.
Yep.
Number 2, that idea. So it's funny you mentioned that, Predator versus Pirates. That flint lock, the flint that little smile swallow. At a certain point, they get she become the protagonist gets possession of a gun. That gun is based on that gun comes from a comic, like it
Okay.
takes place. It's called like 16 or 17 Predators, 16 something or 17 something. But
Okay.
point is, that's basically what it is. That's where the flint comes from, the flint from that movie. So imagine you could do like that adaptation of that for like go back even further to kind of go see that story of how those flea traders got that flint. I would be on board.
Yeah, and also I really like how they had mostly an all Native American cast too. So like I really appreciated that. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like I don't know why they made the decision to like put it straight on there, whether it's just wanted to drive people to like sign up for this Hulu or Disney Plus overseas. But
Must have been what's his name, the old Disney CEO, that guy that nobody liked. That guy.
Chapek?
He must have- yeah.
well,
Chapek.
that's the thing. Like as I said, I think it was always good. Like they'd already announced it as a streaming thing, so I don't know why.
They started putting Pixar movies straight to Disney. They started doing weird stuff.
I mean,
I don't know.
it's one of the I mean,
It's a longer conversation, I think, is what
Yeah,
Malcolm's getting.
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
I don't know what the decision is. I mean, I fit. I mean, it's also one of those ones because, like if they hadn't said it's going to be Predator, like a Predator movie, just by the movie Prey, I don't know if it would have done well in theaters because people may just go, like unless they had seen the trailer, they're going to see, oh, Prey. And they're going to go one of two ways, like not be interested at all, or they'll just go see it because they're curious about it. But I was just had a quick look over the box office, see if there was a reason. And like the last Predator movie, The Predator, I think it just barely broke even because like the budget was 88 million, like it only made 160 million worldwide. So whether that was a factor, whether they didn't like they thought I was probably going to just break even anyway, so it's not worth it to put it into theaters. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's also as I think like just to close up this discussion on this, I think like Disney putting things onto the straight Disney Plus, I think that part is over. Because I think with the Pixar movies specifically, that was only because of the pandemic and that
Yeah.
so and I mean like Turning Red I think will be the last one that will be put straight to Disney Plus. Just purely because like for the most part, the pandemic is over. And movies is starting to get back in prominence again. But anyone else see anything to say on Prey?
No,
No.
move on. We can move on.
Brian, what is your number 6?
Number 6 is quite underrated film. I would say is I put Hustle number 6. Yeah,
There's
Adam
an
Ooh, that's
Hustle.
really good
Interesting.
movie.
Interesting.
It is. I
Really
was
good.
surprised. Yeah, Adam Sandler does great films. He does either a great sports film or a great drama put together. You get a good sports film. You know how he loves basketball. Like last film, Uncle Jam's basketball film. This one, basketball film. It's a great performance from him. Too bad I don't think he'll get Oscar nomination for the performance, but it's a great performance from him. Great cast. Queen Latifah. I forgot the guy who played Bo. I forgot the actor who played him, but he did pretty good. And that's my number 6 is Hustle.
Yeah.
Very good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I'm a big basketball fan, so I was a big fan of the guy that like played. He's like Boban, or wait, I can't remember the name of the actual basketball player now. I was gonna say a different one, but who appears in there, Boban Bogdanovic. He appears as a cameo, but the other guy was a guy he's on the Utah Jazz at the time. I can't think of his name, but like even just as an athlete, he did a solid acting performance himself. So
His
yeah.
name is Juancho Hernan Gomez.
Okay,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
He was great in
Yeah.
the film.
Mhm.
And also, in my opinion, I think the best villain in a movie, Anthony Edwards. He played a great
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah.
very good movie.
Anyone else with anything on Hustle?
One more thing, best happy. Wait, is it Happy Madison? Right?
Yeah.
Productions? Best Happy
Yeah.
Madison Productions movie by miles.
I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
But
That's it.
it's going to be interesting to see what the Spaceman movie's going to be like.
Yeah.
But they're going to flow onto my number 6, which is The Menu.
Punt.
Mm.
Wow.
Honorable mention for me.
Wow.
But,
No.
I haven't got a chance to get to it.
Yeah.
but JD will go to number 5.
Jordan, get ready to say punt and free to the Fablemans.
Punt.
Punt.
Not a punt for me. No, not at all.
Sorry, no, it was Brian.
Brian.
Yeah, it's punt for me for Philbins.
Yeah.
Caro, what is your number 5? 4.
Okay, so this is where we get to, in my opinion, potential all-timers for years to come, maybe the decade for sure. My number 5 is RRR.
Ooh, that was one from I had
Jordan.
earlier, but
And the others?
my number 10. Yeah. Got punted.
And the others?
Didn't make
No?
my list.
Oh,
Wow. All right. It's going to be hard to describe it into words, to be honest, because
Yeah.
it's just this movie is so spectacular. It is so much fun. I did not feel any of the 3 hours while watching this movie. It just kept on going.
Flew by.
It's just, for me, like, it's okay, aside from a fictional historical epic, it's really a friendship. It's a movie about a friendship. And you root for these two guys to just be friends in the end. That's really it. I mean, One is is fighting for the one is an officer of the Indian Imperial Police, and the other is a guide. Yeah, yeah, he's a guide, and but their friendship is at stake while they have in the midst of the right to fight against the British Raj. So, what director S.S. Rajamouli strives to chase is he chases imagination and massive sparks of energy, and he succeeds with every spark and masterful storytelling. So, I mean, every action sequence is well staged, and the romance is quite interesting. I have to mention the dance sequence, the Natu Natu dance sequence. It's probably the most fun sequence of the year. It's hopefully I'm rooting for it to get nominated to win the Oscar for song because one, I actually want to see that performed on live on in the Oscars.
Yeah, that'd
Because
be awesome.
I wanted to win. I know that another song that from a movie that will be brought up will have competition, but also it does take a break from this bombastic action to deal with a backstory that is actually tragic, and also how he becomes a soldier. So it does take breaks, from that action. So I like that it was quite balanced in both action, comedy, and also a drama and a little romance. And also in the end, it's just a lot of fun. And if you know that it's a fictional historical epic, you're gonna have a blast. If not, then I feel sorry for you because it's just you basically don't know the definition of fun in my vocabulary. But look, I think RRR is definitely worth the watch. It is on Netflix in the US. I don't know what it is in Canada or in New
It's
Zealand.
available here in Canada. The RR.
It's Netflix everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, RRR is definitely a cinematic wonder. It's just a lot of fun, a lot of energy in this movie. And I gotta be honest, I was looking at the best picture race, and I know about like 7 are locked in, and there are a couple of contenders. I think RRR, if I were to predict, I think it will make it in the lineup because it was India did not sub it for its international feature. So I think it will get nominated for Best Picture.
I mean, I agree that it could. I mean, I think it's just one of those ones that, yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to get some nominations in other places anyway. And that could. I mean, we get whether or not it gets into Best Picture, I don't know because I think looking at a lot of the precursors, like there's a good chance it might. But yeah,
But there
but
could be
that-
different horror film could get in though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones like it doesn't like for me. It doesn't matter what 10 get in. I don't think I'm going to be disappointed with the lineup of this year's Best Picture race.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say since I had it for my number 10, that like I'll just echo everything Jonathan said. Like this movie is amazing from beginning to end. I was having a discussion with a friend that I won't mention his name, but if you've seen one episode of my show, you might know. But he was saying that it kind of drags for him. Like he's like for the first. Well, I'm like an hour and 40 minutes in, and I'm waiting for something to happen. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like balls to the walls action from like beginning to end. This movie just like does not let up. I mean, you do have some time to kind of build the friendship and to kind of talk about what's going on with the invasion and from the British and that kind of thing. But man, when they do action, they do it like maybe some of the best action I've almost ever seen in a movie. Like it's just so good, especially that bridge scene or or like the use of animals too, like the animals just kind of jumping around and all that. Yes. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, and then the dance scene, like I would love to see the dance scene perform at the Oscars. That'd be awesome. Yes. So yeah, like this movie was one that like wouldn't been on my radar if it wasn't for people recommending it to me, and I'm really glad that I watched it because man, like this movie, like if you want to see a just great action done in like in like the best way possible. Way it's shot, just the way that it's acted, the way it's done. It's just like so good. So yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
also,
think,
yeah, there's a Bollywood number at the end. I mean, it is a Bollywood.
Oh,
number
yeah.
of a dancer. But
yeah. I mean, once again, I think going through the sort of precursors and seeing what the Natural is being nominated elsewhere at the moment, I think there's a good chance it's getting in that 5 of best original
yeah.
song.
I think so.
And I
Yeah.
think I think even if it doesn't get nominated, I think they'll find a way to get it and get it performed in the Oscars because
Oh please,
um,
yes.
Yeah.
because I think there was a year where they did do Bohemian Rhapsody at the start, and that wasn't nominated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, they opened with Queen 1 year, I believe, like a performance.
Okay. And off topic, by the way, Jordan, Seahawks won, so yay.
Yes. Yep. They freaking won. So
Well,
yeah,
you gotta wait. You gotta
waiting
root
to
for the
celebrate.
Packers to lose now.
I know, which is
Chris
will be
Goss, I
crazy
believe.
because the Packers are my dad's favorite team. So me and him are like going toe to toe. We're like a rival. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
Okay. All right.
But yeah,
Go ahead.
I haven't got around to seeing Triple R yet.
Same here.
I'm probably going to watch it to do the John Campier challenge. If you last more than 5 minutes, you've beaten John Campier.
Oh yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I'm going to give it more than 5 minutes anyway.
I don't know how he dropped off.
I have also not seen this movie yet. It's on my radar. It's just unfortunately one of the one. There's so many movies out there. There's just
There
you
was.
can't do
Yeah.
everything.
This
before
should
it-
be
Not
a
enough
high
time.
priority.
Yeah.
It is on. It is now. It has not.
You're gonna have a
It's
blast.
just, it kept on getting. I want to sit for the whole thing. That's the thing. I wanted to vote. I don't want to like watch it and then come back to it. So I need a period of time where I need like the whole 3 hours.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If I'm going to watch a 3 hour movie, I want to make sure I've got time to fit it all in it.
Yeah. And even if you don't feel like you can sit there and read all the subtitles, just the visuals and the music alone will just have you hooked. So.
But anyway, Jordan, what is your number 5?
So this one might be a punt. I kind of feel like because a few squeaked high, but I got Top Gun Maverick as my number 5.
That's a
Punt.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. So.
Brian, what is your number 5?
My number 5 is a comedy of mine. Maybe not so much. Jackass Forever is my number 5.
Never seen it.
That's
It was a lot of fun.
No, it's not.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Don't tell Malcolm he hates Jackass movies.
I love the Jackass series. This film, I was skeptical with the new cast, how they're going to fit in with the original cast, but they still got it. Like Johnny Knoxville still got it. Even
Almost died.
the good opening with the like a Godzilla type opening with the cast. Yeah, the whole
So
musical
fun.
chair sequence with Wee Man flying off. Some great stunts. Even great small cameo by Bam Margera. You get a small glimpse of him. And I had a lot of fun. Made me laugh so much. And that's why I put number 5, Jackass Forever.
I will say that it's the most I laughed in a movie the entire year. It's the funniest for sure.
Mine number 5 is The Black Phone.
Oh, it's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's good. I went to the Halloween Horror Black Phone edition at Universal. That was fun.
Yeah, like this is one that I didn't expect to love as much as I did, because this is one that like was supposed to come out back in 2020, but it was just sort of pushed due to the pandemic. And so it had that like, is it going to live up the hype now or was it going to feel like something that is just dated and should have come out a few years ago, which it was going to? But this is one that I was just hooked on this from the get-go, and I think Ethan Hawke is great as the villain of this, and it's one of those ones like when I watching this, like I didn't read a lot about this. Like I only found out like a few weeks ago when I was watching a Watch Mojo video or something that this was actually based on a story by the son of Stephen King, and it just really tracks. And like it definitely has a whole Stephen King vibe to it, and it's just a lot of fun, and I think and it's also one of those ones like the abusive father. Took me a long time to realize who that actually was. That was can't remember who, but he was in Lost. He was one of the freighter
Jorge
crew
Garcia.
in
Jorge Garcia.
no. It was
Yeah, I'm
Jeremy
trying to
Davies.
Okay.
It was Faraday. It was Daniel Faraday.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, Daniel Faraday.
Um,
Yep, that's right.
and it was just something I really wasn't expecting because like everything I've sort of seen him, and he was more of a nicer guy than what he
Yeah,
was in this movie. Is like
they're almost too nice and lost. Yeah.
it just threw me for a loop, but he did that really well. Yeah, and I would like to I mean, when it comes, I like to see a lot of TV actors like make the jump to movies at times, but yeah. Anyone else with anything saying on the black phone?
It's a very good horror film from Scott
It's-
Derrickson. Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
I like the brother sister connection, the duo. They're a very good team, very good child performances. Ethan Hawke is menacing. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, he is fantastic as that creepy guy, and yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Yeah, I think this will be a rewatch for years to come.
Yeah.
Horror marathons.
Well, I will say also too that it was appropriate time to wear my Halloween Horror Nights shirt because it has the black phone, the little like mask guy on there,
Yeah, I see.
and like going to that was like really cool because you got to go actually like they did it so well. You get to go down in the actual basement, and then you get to go up the stairs, and you get to see the guy with the mask that's supposed to be Ethan Hawke just sitting up there and like in the chair up there, and they had it. It was a black phone / freaky haunted house, which is pretty cool. So, and it just scared Malcolm away.
Oh no!
Yeah.
So I guess.
And they go
Lost our
JD, I
host.
believe, 'cause
Okay, so I guess
JD, I guess.
Oh, all right.
JD number 4.
Yeah.
The word you got scared away.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
JD, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say was this was on my list for a hot second. If we have time for honorable mentions, my honorable mentions is going to be like 50% horror movies. It was a very
Yeah.
strong year for horror.
Mhm.
Yes, it was.
And
Yeah.
the only other
Yeah.
thing I'll say very quickly is the guy who I forget who the actor was. I looked it up at one point. I knew who it was, but the guy who played the dad, like very, very, I was kind of obsessed with the guy who played the dad. It's a very complex performance. He's played at the beginning very generically one way, and then like as the kind of adoption gets longer and longer, you kind of peel back the layers where you don't
see the
necessarily you're not necessarily a fan of the father at the end of it, but you understand maybe how he got that way, and maybe there's a tingle, a little part of you that would want to see kind of if they were the kids, if the two siblings were able to reconcile their relationship with the dad, see what that would look like going forward. They may be able to, they may be not. But I find that I was obsessed with that performance for a while. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's all I had.
You're 4. Yeah, Malcolm's bringing up.
Yes, we're having connection issues.
Yeah.
JD,
go
what
ahead.
is your number 4?
All right, my number 4. Caro say punt in 3, 2, everything everywhere all at once.
Punt. I'll say it.
Yeah, Jordan said it for me.
Yeah. That was an easy punt.
Caro, what is your number 4?
Top Gun Maverick.
That's my number 3 act. So
my number
let's save it.
5.
Save it so
Yeah, save
everybody
it.
can get to number 4s.
Okay.
Then.
Jordan, what is your 4?
My number 4 is Wakanda Forever.
because there we go.
Yeah. So
I'm probably frozen. I think.
you're kind of glitchy a little, but
Little laggy a bit.
but yeah, a little laggy, but yeah, Wakanda Forever blew me away, and I saw it late. I didn't rush out to see it because there's so many other movies I wanted to see, and I was like, well, it's a Marvel movie; it'll be in theaters for a while. I'll have some time to go see it. So I finally did, and man, like this movie, just just hits you with the emotions, especially in the beginning and the end. It's just really powerful, and then the strong female performances in this thing just knocked my socks off. Like especially Angela Bassett. I mean, I think Angela Bassett could be nominated for an Oscar potentially
agree
for
with
that role. It was that good. Yeah, just you just feel how she lost her entire family. I like how she's talking about all that, and it's just, oh man, it gave me the chills. But and then also Letitia Wright, Lupita Nyong'o, the one from Walking Dead, which I always forget her name.
Guerrero.
Yeah, Denai Guerrero. Yeah, like they're all just like so solid. There's even some female performances, like actors that like I don't even know who they are, but they were still great. Some of the other what do they call the tribal? Yeah, the Dormolage. Yeah, there's a lot of those like terminologies you gotta remember. But yeah, and then how they introduce certain characters, Namor and I mean spoilers if you haven't seen it, they're very minor, but you can tune out. But it's the other one was Ironheart. So
Yep.
yeah, they were both great, and especially the way that they introduced Namor. Like I thought that it was like so much better than they could have. Well, than they ever did in Aquaman movie to me. Like I thought that it was just so cool and so just like really powerful, just like character that it was very menacing, and you really got into the mythology and did a deep dive into it. And that's one thing that I really love is like there's certain movies that could have made my top 12, but they just didn't have enough character development, and that's something that's really big for me. If you don't have a very good character development, it's gonna be hard for me to really enjoy the movie because I can't really relate to anything that's going on. And this has character development for days. Like you're already familiar with it from the first movie and some other Marvel movies, but yeah, and then the fight scenes, like the way that they're choreographed. I mean, and like the stuff on the water, and yeah, like it's just like really really great, and even bringing some like political stuff too, and even outside that, like Martin Freeman comes back, and he's great as always. So yeah, Wakanda Forever. Like I think that for this phase, it's phase 5, right?
Four.
4. Okay, so for phase 4, I think that this is the strongest movie of phase 4, hands down. So.
It's top 2.
Well, I guess if you include Spider-Man No Way Home, I guess.
Well, No Way Home is phase 4, so
yeah. So that one's up there too. Yeah.
But yeah,
it was my number 7. So
and then my number 10.
my
11,
number
excuse
12.
me.
Yep. So should
Go
I
ahead,
start
take it
then?
away.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, someone talk about it.
All right.
Yeah,
Brian, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll
ahead.
go first on this one. This is, I agree, the second best MCU film, Phase 4. The whole emotional aspect, like how we lost Chadwick, how they're going to deal with it, and this is best female-led Marvel film, better than best female-led MCU film, I would say. You get great performances. I love Namor in this one. Even the girl, Riri Williams, who played Ironheart. I'm excited for her series coming up.
Yeah.
The scene with Mark Freeman and Elaine Baines, Julie Dreyfus was great.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
I forgot about Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Yep. The song "Look Me Up," my favorite song of the year. I think it probably will win the best original song. Might have competition with Lady Gaga, and I'm excited to rewatch it on Disney Plus when it comes out in February.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's one of those ones like I fully expect to have more Marvel movies in my tops end, but it's just like Black Panther Wakanda Forever just barely made mine.
Yeah.
Not that I thought it was bad, it's just that all the other movies I saw I enjoyed a lot more. But look, how they brought in Namor, like, and I mean, I'm going to have Vincent Duke going, they called him Kuku Khan, the feather surfing god,
The
stuck in my
fish
head for
monster.
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuck in my head for days.
Cuckoo Khan.
I think
And
the
it's
former
just,
council do name of the family is Cuckoo Khan.
Yeah.
which is funny because yeah, because it's funny because apparently there was a cameo of a different feather surfing god in For Love and Fun
Yeah.
in that scene, which some people pointed out, but yeah, JD, what are your thoughts on Black Panther?
Yeah, so I said this was my number 11. I definitely, the fact that you started out this movie, I'm surprised they even went this route. That you actually start with like Chadwick Boseman, even though you don't see it on the surgery table. Minor spoilers. The fact that that's how your movie starts, I'm like, this is interesting. Like I didn't expect it to kind of start with that kind of visceral punch, but I was on. And also just um um Shuri is a. I like the idea of Shuri being this different kind of Black Panther. She is not her brother, but she is also not a killer. She is. I feel like this is kind of building to something, a status quo that's akin to the comics, where Wakanda is this neutral kind of site, which is completely opposite of what her brother wanted to do. Like it is now like they're not gonna. It's like it's basically Switzerland. I think I feel like that's what we're building to, which I think is a fascinating thing. The reason why I put it at 11 and not higher, as high as 4, is because I feel like the Martin Freeman stuff and the Valentina stuff, while I think it's fun in theory, I feel like it doesn't fit for this movie. I feel like it's part of it. They had to do it because they're setting up Thunderbolts and Secret Invasion, but it just feels like it's a different movie. I feel like there was another way you could have handled it. And then that's my biggest kind of gripe. But it's a well done movie, and it's obviously my 11. It's on my list.
Yeah, I mean, just to bounce off that, I think Freeman would have been in here regardless, like just because he's got that connection to with the first Black Panther and all that. And it makes sense that he's the one that like shooting that go to try and find out where Ironheart, Riri is, and all that.
Yeah.
And so I think I agree the Valentina stuff may not have been that needed, but it's one of I think it's one of those ones like it also didn't appear too much in that movie just to be too distracting either. Because I think they did have I think that's probably one of the things that like Kevin said, like we need we want you to kind of throw in these tidbits that's going to sort of eventually lead to I don't know so much about if it's going to lead to Secret Invasion, but I think it's definitely sort of hinting at what Thunderbolts is going to be. I think it's going to be Valentina setting up this team to maybe invade Wakanda and all that. I don't know, but
well, I will say that Shuri, like I don't know, like, after seeing this movie, she like skyrocketed to like maybe my favorite character in the MCU. Like she's just an amazing character. Like how smart she is, and the spiritual side, and like the all the the cultural side, and like being able to handle things after her brother passed away. All that, like it's so good.
But yeah,
let me.
I mean, I don't accidentally start another tangent here, but I thought it was funny with her being the experimental one trying to find this cure for whatever disease it is, considering her stance on the vaccine. But that's all I'm going to say on that.
So
Larry, anything you want to say in Black?
Yeah, I don't have it in my top 12. I don't have it in my honorable mentions. It's very good. I thought it was just overstuffed in terms of plot. You just said it with the Valentina storyline. I thought they could have saved that for another movie. I thought it was more of a stronger tribute to Chadwick Boseman than it is a well-engaged narrative. Yeah, there are certain scenes that are definitely memorable. Definitely the best best MCU movie or content of the year because it was pretty weak this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. I do agree with Angela Bassett. Yeah, I think she should get some consideration. If I don't know how much room there is for supporting actress, I think there'll be room probably in the 5th slot, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones like she's been popping up a lot when it comes in like
The awards, yes.
because I'm pretty sure she's in the Golden Globes 5, and so I think
It's very hard to predict supporting actress.
Oh,
Yeah,
it is.
Well,
I agree, but
yeah,
I think
it's both supporting acting categories this year is going to be tough. There are like 3 that are like locks, and then there's like 3 or 4 that are locks, and then like 5 is like a pick 'em between 3 or 4 different people. And so who knows what's going to happen with those other swaps?
Yeah, it's one of those ones like when it comes to lots, I try not to say someone's lot, but I think Angela Bassett is
Only
one that I
one.
think is possibly going to slide in. But so that was Jordan's number 4. Brian was your number 4.
My number 4 is a good legacy sequel, not doing thinking of, and that is Beavis Butthead Do the Universe.
Ooh, that made my honorable mentions, but not quite the top.
I'm a huge fan of Beavis Butthead. Love the new series. I even though I love Do American more, but this is a good continuation of the universe. Like we get the multiverse added to them. Seeing Smart Beavis and Smart Butthead. We see them go to space.
Yeah.
Space that Beavis try to find this astronaut that he fell in love with. Even get Cornholio sequence in there in prison. And my favorite anime film of the year. Too bad it's not getting award nomination because it's a Paramount Plus exclusive. But I have fun with this, and that's my number 4.
Yeah. Well, I'll just add that I'm a massive Beavis and Butthead fan. Like I grew up with them, and a lot of it just plays on nostalgia. But the thing is, they announced that they were going to bring back Beavis and Butthead so many years ago that like I was just waiting, and then it just kind of dropped. We never really got like any trailers or anything until the last minute. Like I was waiting for them to like have more and make more announcements. Like I was someone who would always check periodically just to see if they made any announcements, and like they never really did till like the last minute. And yeah, this movie was a lot of fun. Like just like exploring different dimensions and different like the universe, and as the title says, but just them in space, and them like going back to Earth, there's a lot of fun things. But I think it might be more of a movie for people who are fans of the characters. Because if you're not, you may not really care for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, just like Jackass, I just don't care about Beavis Budget.
Right.
JD Caro, did you see this?
I can't say anything.
But yeah, it's back to me, and my number 4, I'm almost certain is not going to be on anyone's list, just because it's a Kiwi New Zealand movie that didn't really get released wide. But my number 4 is Muru, M-U-R-U.
Go ahead.
I didn't expect that reaction from anyone. But this is the one that New Zealand had put up for foreign language, like international feature for the Oscars. It didn't get shortlisted, unfortunately. This is just one of those movies which is just haunting, and it's basically about a raid that the police did on the Ngai Tuhoi tribe, and it's just one of those ones that's just a really fascinating movie, and just really shows like the lengths that police can go to do it, and like one of the interesting things is like one of the main people this is about, like Tamaiti, like he played himself in the movie and he produced it. So it's like this is a story he wanted to tell. So and they definitely did not try to sanitize any of it. Like and it's just one of those ones that it's a very visceral movie. It's just one of those. It's one of those ones that I'll probably watch again if I had to watch it for something, but I'm not going to rush out to want to see it. Like just like Schindler's, like I'm probably going to rewatch it eventually. I'm not in a rush to go see it again. And it's another movie that came out this year that had Cliff Curtis in it. But yeah, it's just one of those ones. Like, but not that I expected. Anyone else with anything to say on this?
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it up so I can
Yeah.
can know about it and go check it out.
Probably for
Yeah,
the
as I said, like I don't know if it's available anywhere in America to watch yet. But yeah, but that's how it's spelled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so
But,
this was New Zealand's submission.
This was New Zealand's
Okay.
submission, yeah.
Gotcha.
But JD, what is your number 3?
So it said, my 5 for 1 were very tough. Like this whole list was tough, and it's really like nitpicks that separate all of these. Like it's little nitpicks that just annoy you here and there. And my 3 for 1, in particular, I think, do a really good job of using its time to its benefit. And it also utilizes, in my opinion, two of the most kind of underrated kind of genres, comedies and musicals. Carol may know where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is Spirited.
Yeah.
Spirited is my number 3.
I like
Spirited, and it flirted with. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It flirted with 1 for a good solid minute. I think this is Will Ferrell's best performance since the Lego Movie overall, and then live action. Maybe everything must go. And I think it utilizes his skill set so well. Just a log line in case you haven't seen it. I think most people have seen it, but if you haven't seen it, it's the Christmas Carol exists in this world, and it was so successful that they decided to do it every year. And this year's candidate is Ryan Reynolds, and I just love spending the back and forth. The back and forth between these two guys. I could watch them for hours, but they do just enough, and they leave you just enough. And also the twist in this movie, I'm gonna do a spoiler. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoiler alert. Will Ferrell is actually not the original Ghost of Christmas Present. He is actually Scrooge. That twist is so well done. And it makes sense why they would get Will Ferrell to play him, because he's the only person in my mind who could both play kind of innocence and rage. Like the two separate, the two facets of Will Ferrell I say are innocence and rage, and they utilize both of them here extremely well. And the music, it's the people who did The Greatest Showman and Dear Evan Hansen. And despite what you think about those movies, their music by itself is always solid. And I think this is the first time where the music actually works in a good movie. And even their cut song would be that the song that is during the credits would be a song that most musicals would die to have in their normal musicals. So that's my spiel on Spirited.
Yeah, I mean, like I enjoyed Spirited. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, I just thought the comedy part of it actually fell flat because, like, I went into this with high hopes, and that probably why it ultimately was why I was disappointed in it. Because, like, Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell in a movie together, I thought it was going to be a lot funnier than what it was. I mean, I think it might have been the only one, but it's still the best random Beauty Dench in the movie this year.
Yeah.
And it's the only good Will Ferrell Christmas movie easily.
The only good one.
No.
Come on, man.
No,
No, it's not.
no, that's another discussion for another
Elf is
day.
the best one.
For
Maybe
another
one of those
holiday
haters like Austin Pez. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not. Most people know that I really don't like Elf. I don't care about Elf. But anyone else with anything sounds
This was a surprise. Yeah, this was a surprise that I'm not a musical person, so and to me, actually, the comedic banter between Reynolds and Farrell was the best part of the movie. I felt like I was laughing at it, and just Will Ferrell playing the sympathetic Ghost of Christmas present, and of course Ryan Reynolds playing the ignorant businessman that that focuses on public relations. And also the chemistry, Farrell's chemistry with Octavia Spencer is really sweet. Spencer can sing. And you did not touch on this, JD, the choreography
Yes.
for the musical numbers.
Yes.
I thought that was the more outstanding element than the music.
Yes.
Because I felt like Chloe Arnold did a fantastic job of setting this whole thing up, setting the dance numbers up. Some of the music numbers don't quite work, but I just, it was really good. And I mean, unfortunately, it's an Apple Plus, but if I, get my
It did
have
have a limited
subscription
release
back,
in theaters.
It got shortlisted for the Oscars for best song.
Yeah,
but it was shortlisted. That's the
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it was released because I know people that did see it in theater. It was released in the standard like New York,
Guilty.
LA theaters, so
also-
it is eligible.
Spirited was one of the Regal mystery movies that they did.
really
So
interesting.
I didn't see it, but I know people who did get to see it because of that.
Yeah. It's a
So-
tad long, but it's a really good movie. I liked it. Again, a surprisingly good year for Christmas movies.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
remember when I first started watching Spirited? Like I didn't care for the very first musical number. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cheesy. Like, is this what we're gonna get? But the more and more that the movie went along, though, it got better and better for me. I'm like, yeah, this is getting like actually really good. So yeah, surprised.
But with that, Jonathan, what is your number 3?
This is going to be a tonal shift. After Sun.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we can talk about that because that's like near the bottom of my list. Sorry.
Aye, Jordan. Okay, so, how can I explain this one? So, the movie is a flashback to a summer vacation between an 11-year-old girl and her young estranged father, played by Paul Mescal, in Turkey. So it's basically a POV tale from a girl's perspective about the transition from adolescence to young adulthood, as she observes teenagers discussing, kissing and sexuality and other stuff. But in the long run, it's about the relationship, and it's full of mundane details throughout the whole movie, where it's her perspective or her perception of her father's self-personality, that of him being a good father, but also a depressed person. All right, and he's going through his struggles in life. And I thought director Charlotte Wells did a fantastic job of creating a quiet film in which it makes an ordinary vacation quite rich. And it evokes sadness and mental health in unconventional ways quite well. And, once you have to be patient with it, because once you're patient with it, it ramps up to a climax, to a song that for some reason I cannot remember it. Under Pressure,
Yeah.
the dance number, that is quite edited in a very cerebral, detailed way that is quite emotional, and that ramps up to a conclusion that packs a powerful wallop for me. And once it ended on that note, I got a little emotional towards the end, and it basically ends on it transitions from a child with poignant memories to an adult reflecting on those memories. And boy, it hit me hard, to be honest. And I think it's definitely one of the very best movies of the year. I don't know if I may revisit it, but probably maybe this year or years to come, because another studio that had a great year was A24. And I think A24 had a fantastic year. So,
Fantastic.
yeah, we'll bring up one more. But yeah, After Sun. I love this movie to pieces, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that I haven't got around to, but from what I've
Same.
heard about, it's going to be one of those ones like it's going to come down if you like those sort of dramas or not, because and I think that's just simply what it is, because I know like there's a lot of people, and it looks like Jordan's probably one of them, that when it comes to dramas that just have a lot of talking, like
Yeah.
I sometimes I actually enjoy a lot of those. Like for me, The Father was actually one of them. Like it was one of those sort of dramas which was more about the actual talking than it was about like a lot of things actually happening. But regardless, it was still a good movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been released in New Zealand yet. But I'm probably going to see it if I see it pop up. So yeah. Anyone else with anything to say on After Sun before we move
Jordan,
on?
take it away.
Yeah, I probably do. well, the thing for me is that like somebody recommended this movie to me. We were talking about Everything Everywhere all at once, and he's like, "There's one movie that actually edged that out for me," and he said After Sun. So I'm like, "Oh, well, then I better check it out because I love Everything Everywhere all at once." And like, sorry, this is no disrespect to anyone. This movie's boring as shit. This movie is like the boringest effing movie I've ever seen in my entire life. I was bored to tears. Like, there's nothing happening. They're walking around a hotel. They're not doing anything. Nothing's going on. I don't get what this movie even supposed to be about. And then 1 minute you have the dad. He's crying about something that I don't even understand. I don't get what's even happening. He's just sobbing the tears. And I'm just like what's even happening? Like when is something going to happen that is like interesting like at all? Like I actually have this movie dead last of the year for me. Like it's that
So
boring
you did
for
not
me.
buy the ending?
No, like
That's what
I know that they like have like an emotional moment when they're dancing into the song, but it just doesn't do anything.
The very end.
Well, like maybe like my problem is like I don't really understand it because like maybe I need to give it a rewatch because like I don't really
now
even understand what that's like what's going. Like I know that it's them kind of like looking back and like on an experience that they had, but I'm just like I just don't get it. Like I'm just waiting. Like I remember watching it, just like really like over any movie, just like really noticing the time. I'm just like this movie is just a slog. I can't get through it. When are we gonna get to something? Come on, like oh I can't take it. And like getting restless in my chair. I'm like I want to get out of here. But I watched it all. I almost turned it off, but I didn't. So yeah. So. But to each their own. Like if you really like that kind of stuff, I'm just not as much as like sort of like Malcolm said, just like into these like kind of pretentious dramas that are just a lot of talking and that kind of thing. I'm just like not for me, not my speed.
I will say this to compare with the other one you just mentioned. Like that's basically other genres. It's just comparing it because it's in the same studio.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's interesting enough. I just had a quick look, and Barry Jenkins has got a producing credit on it.
But the main guy, Paul Mescal, like I am excited to see him be in the new Gladiator movie coming up. He's going to lead that movie, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm. He has a good future.
Yeah. I mean, if the new Gladiator movie ever happens, I feel like they've been talking about that for ages.
Yeah.
Anyway, John, what is your number 3?
No, JD has something to say. Actually.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I was just gonna say that like this is a movie I want to see. It is a film that, from what I hear, you have to be in the right mood in order to watch it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So just waiting for that moment.
Yeah.
But
wait for like a calm, like somber moment where you just want to
be in this calm A24 mood.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Jordan, what is your number 3?
Oh, for me? Yeah. Let's see. Go back to my letterbox. So my number 3. I don't know if it's going to make anybody else's list, but like I had so much fun with this movie. My number 3 is Bullet Train.
It was on my list for a hot minute. It was on my list for a hot
Yeah.
minute. So I'll piggyback off you, Jordan.
Yikes.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, like I just love the like tone and the vibe. Like I understand that like it wasn't actually set in Japan or anything, but what they were able to create, I really love that, and I think that it was Aaron Taylor Johnson's best performance in a long time.
Mhm.
So like they're kind of talking about him maybe for James Bond possibly. So like I'm feeling a little better after seeing this performance. I'm still not feeling like he should play James Bond, but and then Brad Pitt, like I thought he was hilarious in this movie. Like I had a lot of fun with his character. Then you had Joey King. That's one of the kind of people running around the train. Brian Tyree Henry, and then I'm even Hiroyuki Sanada. Like he's always fun whenever he pops up. And then even like the subtle little bit that Sandra Bullock's in it. She's not really in it a lot, but like I just like them just going back and forth and just all the different things that they have to navigate through this train. They have to play it totally cool, like there's nothing wrong, nothing going on, but they're all after this briefcase, and it's just this whole thing of this like one thing after the next. And also it's very brutal and violent too. It always reminded me of, and I don't know why I'm spacing on his name, but the director of Snatch, like it reminded me of
Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, Guy Ritchie. Like it almost reminded me of a Guy Ritchie movie in a lot of ways. So I had a lot of fun. I actually saw it twice in theaters. So yeah, so that'll be my number 3, Bullet Train.
This is classic.
So
This is
yeah,
classic.
it's
The
like-
irony. Now it's a whiplash sensation. Now I get to trash it.
So it's on my honorable
right.
mentions. It was on my list for a hot minute, a long hot minute.
Yeah.
So if we're talking best made movies, like technically, if we're talking about technically, objectively, like what are the best made movies, then no, this shouldn't be on my list. But I'm talking about, my list is what I enjoyed watching the most. And yes, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. It is Tarantino. Yes, it's Tarantino light, but I don't care. I enjoyed every single second of it. Brad Pitt is super fun in the movie, just like his whole bit about everybody around him. He's not even doing everything, and it just people just die around him.
Right.
And then
Yeah, they
also
keep
just
dying.
the fact that Bad Bunny got a like a Sony Spider-Man character movie out of this 5-minute performance is just laughable to me, but that just kind of adds to it. Yes,
It's in the trailer, but like Brad Pitt's like, "You shot me? Like, why'd you shoot me?" Like just the way that he plays off everything is just so good.
As I said, it's the Zari Beats reveal of who she ends up playing. I really love that reveal. Again, is he doing is he mimicking a lesser Quentin Tarantino movie? Absolutely, but I don't care.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Jordan, After Sun, me to Bullet Train. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, the best parts were the Brian Tyree Henry and Aaron Taylor Johnson, those brothers. If the movie were just those two and a few other characters, I think I would have had a bigger blast with this movie. It was just, it went on and on and on, like the Energizer Bunny. Like, I just wanted to stomp that Energizer Bunny. I was like, I had enough. It rips off too much of the Guy Ritchie and the Tarantino dialogue, and it's too long for me. It felt like watching characters I do not like for the most part just have fun, and it wasn't for me. And I was very disappointed because I saw the trailer and it looked fun, but
especially with the Bee Gees song in the trailer, I really like the Japanese version of "Staying Alive."
Yeah, that was fun, but I was very disappointed in this movie, and Joey King. I don't know what she's doing in this movie. This accent is atrocious, and I feel bad for what's his name, Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yes, and
Nada. She's in it for very little, and yeah, I was very disappointed. It was not really for me.
But yeah,
that's fair.
for me, I had a lot of fun with this. Like it's one of those ones that like I went into this not expecting anything. Like it's Brad Pitt doing stuff on a train, and I had a lot of fun with this. When I heard when I heard that Bad Bunny was going to be in it, I was like, oh shit, I really don't think he's going to be good, but they used him enough. I mean, they like, and just some of the and some of those cameos of people that just randomly popped up in this, is like, because I know one of them was like he popped up, was like, hang on, that I know who that is. I'm not going to say it because I think it's more fun if you
There was
go
obviously
and see.
crossover between two Sony movies that were released this year or last year. That's all I'll say.
There's
Well, it's one of those ones.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those ones. I'm going to spoil one of them just because I read something that is actually really interesting. But Ryan Reynolds pops up in this briefly, and from what I read is like Ryan Reynolds accepted this cameo as a thank you for Brad Pitt appearing in Deadpool 2. So and there was that kind of synergy there.
I'll be right back for a second.
But yeah, this was a lot of fun, and yeah,
there's a handful of some other cameos which I won't spoil, but just watch.
The Ryan Reynolds ones, when it was revealed that it was him, and they were talking throughout the whole movie about this guy, how much of a kind of a little weasel he was, and then it's revealed to be Ryan Reynolds, and I'm like, that's brilliant. I'm sorry, that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's good.
But it's one of those ones like
Jonathan, just like,
but yeah,
I don't know.
I'm glad y'all had a good time.
But yeah, I mean. But yeah, Brian Turner's came off briefly. But I think I know what his number 3 is because I think he said it. But
he said it.
I will add in. I will add in before we move on. This is definitely the year for lost actors popping up again because Hiroyuki Sanada is also in Lost. He played Dogen in Lost.
Oh yeah,
and popping up in the movie. Well, I'm not saying that's how. I mean, that's probably how I know him, but just because I just haven't seen a lot of it. His
and also spoiler alert. Sorry, Masayoka too from Heroes. I'm a big Heroes fan, so I like seeing him pop up.
But yeah, but I'm pretty sure like Brian's number 3 is pretty much we were going to be talking about it. So I think he said it's Top Gun Maverick.
Do you have it in your?
Yeah, but it's my number 3 as well.
Okay.
By number 5.
I think this is where we are talking about it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I love look, Top Gun Maverick was my number 2 for the longest time. It wasn't until recently where it got pushed down just because of a movie I saw recently, and but it's just one of those ones that I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. Like, I am one of those ones in the camp, like, of the original Top Gun not being as good as everyone says it is. And it's like one of those ones, it's also one of those ones like, do we really need a sequel about 30 plus years later? It's like, it's one of those sequels like, didn't really
we do.
But, I mean, it worked. And it's looking like Tom Cruise is probably going to get an Oscar nomination for it. It'll be interesting to see if it does happen.
Yeah.
But he's definitely popping up. He's getting nominations. I mean, he's getting nominations everywhere, even at the Globes, which is actually not the Globes because he gave away his awards before, so I didn't think that. But anyway, but he's popping up like in predictions for all around, so it's going to be interesting. So I think everyone's got it, so I'm just going to go around the board. JD, what are your thoughts on Top Gun Maverick?
It's in my honorable mentions. It was on my list for a while. I think this is a case of where I did not watch Top Gun Maverick, or the first Top Gun,
Same.
until very, very recently. So I just don't have the same kind of affinity for Top Gun that everybody else has. So maybe it probably is. It is a well done movie. It was on my list for a minute. I feel like if it had ended like 20 minutes earlier, I'd have a lot stronger opinion on it. But as it is,
That's all take.
I have that controversial opinion where I think Top Maverick should have bit it. That's just me. But it's a very solid movie. It's a well done movie, and it's in my honorable mentions. But for me, it's a bit too long. And again, I don't have the same love for Top Gun as a series that everybody else has. It is what it is.
Well, this thing, as I said, I didn't have the same love for Top Gun. I thought the first Top Gun was just average. So I mean, I didn't expect to love Maverick as much as this. But anyway, Caro, what do you say about Top Gun?
I am a fan of the first movie, and I did a rewatch of the movie before I saw Top Gun Maverick. And boy, from a storytelling perspective, it's not that great. It's just fun nostalgia, but it is not really a narrative behind it, except that it's about Maverick being the best at flying. That's pretty much it. But here, a lot of people agree that they did not have high expectations for Top Gun Maverick, and that they love this one more than the first one, and they're not a fan of the first one. This one, I said on an early review that I put this on a pedestal with legacy sequels like Mad Max Fury Road and Blade Runner 2049. Like, I think those three are very top tier, in my opinion, and the best of those legacy sequels. And I felt like this was a monumental aerial experience, just to see that in the theater, see the realistic aerial combat and sequences. It's just. What can you say? It's indescribable. It's just monumental. And but also the human relationship, it's very emotionally driven, actually, surprisingly so, because it's really about him reconnecting with Goose's son, played by Miles Teller. And what he goes through with him and Miles Teller is quite emotional. Also with Val Kilmer, who they were trying to bring back. And that scene was definitely emotional.
Best scene in the film for me.
Probably for me as well. But it's quite emotional, and the cinematography from Claudio Miranda is just remarkable. I'm actually surprised it's getting some awards momentum for the cinematography. Director Joseph Kosinski does a very good job of handling both those aerial sequences and the narrative quite well. And also I have to point out Jennifer Connelly, how they bring her into the story as the Admiral's daughter, who they mentioned in the first movie, just as like a little tidbit. It's quite well done, and the chemistry between them is kind of hot, actually, if you think about it. And I think it's better than the first romance in the first movie, in my opinion. And it actually is funnier. And the way they ended it, the 20 minutes that you object to, JD, that I felt like that the end of the movie is quite emotionally. It really packs a good emotional punch, especially after their mission was over, and that exchange between Teller and Cruise. That is like, oh, you made me cry, and I did not expect for Top Gun Maverick to make me cry a couple of times. Like, who knew? Nobody had it on a bingo card. So, Top Gun Maverick. It's just one that I will rewatch over and over again. It's one of those rewatchable popcorn flicks. And who would have known that this movie would have been? It made like over $1 billion, right? Who would have known?
In theaters for like 6-7 months. Yeah,
it's like 2 years worth the wait, and it was definitely worth the wait. So fantastic.
Yeah, the first Tom Cruise movie to do so as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Jordan, what your thoughts on Top Gun Maverick?
Well, if you can see here, I don't know if you can see it very well, but I do have
There it is.
the
I
light
see it.
kind of blind, but I have Top Gun Maverick there with a date that says 2020 on it because that's when it was supposed to come out. But so I have
Well,
that
damn it.
poster. Yeah, so because I worked at a movie theater briefly to get free movies, so that
It'll
was
be
nice.
a collector's item someday.
Yeah, but yeah, this movie, it's like America. Like, man, this movie just felt very like just patriotic and just like I don't know, made me like have more love for my country and the military and that sort of thing. But then yeah, like it's a movie that like we never thought we really needed. But I mean, man, like it worked so well and yeah, and the fact that Tom Cruise he's doing all his own flying in these the jets for the most part, yeah, and like he always gives us these really cool behind the scenes thing. I watched the like 10-minute thing that they had for that new Mission Impossible movie coming up, and like man, like he really like just puts it all on the line for these movies for his fans and stuff, and like he's really one of the like really pure like I want to say just like movie stars that we have left. So I mean, there's a handful of them, but there's not a lot. Not a lot of movies where you go out to the movie just because that actor's in it, you know. So for me, Tom Cruise is still one of those guys, and yeah, just seeing all the performances too. I mean, Miles Teller's given an amazing performance that kind of put him back on the radar for me. Even Glenn Powell, like I enjoyed his performance too. He was great, and then he was in some kind of like Top Gun like knockoff movie.
Devotion.
Like, yeah, he was in Devotion, so I thought that was kind of interesting. But and then yeah, I would agree with you, Jonathan, that Jennifer Connelly, the romance between her was even better than the first movie. I thought, like they did all these things where they kind of paid homage to the first movie instead of like a homoerotic volleyball scene. They have them playing football, and they kind of make it like more of a point to.
Yeah, the football scene is better. Yeah,
like he's building a friendship and camaraderie. You know, like
team,
showing them how to work.
Yeah,
to work as a team. Yeah. And then I just see him kind of behind enemy lines, and then they have to make it back in like a really cool kind of old school plane too. Like and the Val Kilmer stuff too. They did that great. I think they handled it very well. Like I don't really have any negative. The only thing is maybe I would like to see Ed Harris a little more in it because he's always great. But I mean, but John Hamm was also good at playing one of the kind of general guys too. So yeah, like it was great. Like it wasn't my number one, but then just recently, well, actually, not even recently. I mean, over the past like 6 months, a couple movies passed it. But yeah. So.
Yeah, PLD would have burned us down if we didn't at least mention Ed Harris.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yes,
but Brian, what are your thoughts about Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah, this was number 3. This was actually the very first film I saw back in theaters because my theater was closed for a very long time, and the first reopened was Top Gun Maverick. I had a lot of fun with this. I love how we get a sort of glimpse of the visual with the whole opening sequence with the score.
Yeah.
You get that danger zone sequence. The last act felt like a Star Wars film. Like the whole mission felt like actual like Star Wars film to me. Also, I loved how the end credits, how you see the cast like who played them on the screen, like see Val Kilmer, see the different characters who they played on screen, which we don't really get no more, which I quite enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Tom Cruise is writing checks his body can't cash, right?
Yep,
All those
right.
lines.
I consider gave possibly best actor nomination for this film.
Which I dressed up as Maverick for Halloween. I know it's a popular costume, but I had to do it this year. So.
Nobody would have predicted that Top Gun Maverick is one of the will definitely be one of the best picture contenders.
Yep.
Yeah,
nobody.
Yeah, as I said, like with a lot of the big blockbusters that are being predicted for best pictures, there's at least 4 of which I think possibly could make it in. But anyway, my number 3 was also Top Gun Maverick. I've already talked about it. JD, what is your number 2?
real quick, I'm just gonna throw out there. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen a movie in 3DX, but this is how I saw Top Gun Maverick, and that added to it so much because like 3DX, you literally feel like you're like on a ride at Universal Studios. Like the thing's moving so much that you have to hang on. It's like
40,
going
40
like or 40X, yeah. But it's like, but like you're like going left and right and then up and down. They pump in smells. There's a part where there's like a little bit of snow that's like that's coming down. They have like all these air things that are shooting past you when they're firing machine guns. You feel like the bullets are whizzing by you. So I would highly recommend. I just want to make a little plug for 40X. It's definitely worth it if you can see it. So,
I don't have a
yeah.
40X anywhere near me.
Yeah, they're at select Regal theaters. So
They're not. There's still a very few locations that actually have them in the world, so it's not
Yeah.
like it's not highly available. It's not highly available to see it.
No, I was pretty lucky that they have one. Well, like I had to drive about 3 hours, but it was worth the drive.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones like, especially over here, like 3D movies are really not that much of a thing over here anymore. Like
Yeah.
there was 3D sessions of Avatar, which I still haven't got around to doing in 3D yet. I probably will do it eventually, but yeah. But other than that, like other movies which may have had a 3D release just don't get one here. But JD, what is your number 2?
Well, first off, I'd just like to mention that I will be handing in my Action Army card pretty soon for that opinion of Top Gun Maverick. For God's sakes, it's not like I disliked the movie. It's in my honorable mentions. I just want some thematical changes in the second half. My number 2, I think, again, it goes back to. I feel like there's an underappreciation of 90-minute movies. Solid 90-minute movies.
I
And
appreciate
this one just it's quick. You're in there, but you're obsessed, and then it's done, and it's Marcel the Shell with shoes on. That's my number 2. I was it was my number 1 till about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. That's when from July to 2 weeks ago, it was my number 1. and something, just one stuck with me, ended up sticking with me more, and that's what's going to be my 1. But that being said, like Dean Flesher Camp, he did these shorts that my sister was obsessed with, and some of my friends were obsessed with. And I saw the short where I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. Jenny Slate is voicing Marcel. It's a little Shell, who Amfer from work at Shell, and it's his world, and this guy named Dean discovers him, and it's just 90 minutes in their world as they look for their family. And I didn't expect to. It will make you laugh. It will make you cry, and then it will just make you smile. And then it leaves you on your merry way. And God, I was so obsessed with Marcel. He's so cute. He is so cute. Yeah. like even like the scene where they're like going in Dean's car and they're exploring the world. A scene that would be a gross out scene in most movies was so adorable.
Yeah,
It's motion sickness, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry." This movie is delightful, and uses the mockumentary style, and such a way that like I thought that the mockumentaries were dead, and just made me like on board with mockumentaries again. It's so great. It's so great. Anywho, I'll open it to the floor.
Yeah, this was my number 10. This is the Paddington 2 of 2022. I mean, it's lovely, it's sweet, it's funny, and in addition to, it's a fantastic mockumentary in which it could have been gimmicky, but it's beyond those pop culture references. It's more heartfelt to the tiny rich details that it's more poignant, especially in the ending. And I think that it's one of those small indie films that is just puts a smile on your face for sure. I mean, it's from happy to bittersweet. It's an adorable, heartwarming entertainment that is also a rare A24 movie that families can enjoy. No, seriously,
Yep.
like it's one of those rare A24 movies that is suitable for children.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great movie. I love this movie.
What, you're saying you don't want to get together as a family and watch Midsommar?
Yeah,
You want to watch
right.
that Colts? And I'm not going to mention this scene. Children.
You want to get together and watch like X or Pearl? I mean, come on.
Right?
But Jordan, I think you also had it.
Yeah.
Yeah. At my number 8. Yeah. So, yeah, and this movie like was a big surprise to me. I was surprised how much that I really liked this movie. Like it was just so cute and fun and endearing. Like I felt like, well, a lot of times when I'm like trying to cram all these movies in, I'll be like setting up for another show, or I'll be at work and then I'll have to put it on in the background, and like I just found myself just stopping everything that I'm doing and just really focusing in, just getting hooked. It's one of those ones that's like, don't bother me, like I'm watching this. This is like so good and like compelling, which like I wouldn't think that it would be. Like it doesn't seem like my style, but the animation and the fact that they went with the stop motion, it was like really cool. I really like that aspect, and then just the sense of like family, where Marcel's looking for his family, and they use the whole 60 minutes part, and like that's probably one of the parts that got me a little emotional when they're doing the story on 60 minutes, just showing like how this little show can bring so much joy and happiness, and like the whole story of like how he finds his family when he finally reunites with it. It's just like, oh, you're just like so happy. Like just one of those just really feel good, just brings you joy, brings you happiness, and like even like the little parts of like they gotta have some tension in there, which I mean it's not like bringing you down too much, like you're still pretty happy through the whole entire thing. And I also love the friendship between the human character. I think that they call him Dean. Yeah,
and the director himself.
Yeah, and like between him and Marcel, like it's just really good. And yeah, Jenny Slate did a phenomenal job with the voice. She finally found a little niche that she'd be really good at, because I don't know, she like for a lot of things I've seen her in, she's kind of unlikable to me, but for this, like it worked really well. So yeah, it was great.
I haven't seen it. Brian, did you have Marcel?
I have not seen this one.
Ooh,
check it out.
You gotta see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it released in New Zealand, just not a cinema that's close to me.
Yeah,
It wasn't released Canada yet, so
well, if you want to feel just like pure joy and just happiness, like watch this movie.
Don't get me wrong, it's one I plan to see at some stage. But yeah, if people can keep the comments like a little bit short, but we are almost reaching triple R runtime.
Triple R.
Yeah. But Jonathan, what is your number 2?
Okay, this is the opposite of Marcel.
Oh, right, here we go.
Tar.
Oh, okay.
I knew this. Yeah.
Tar. I don't think
seen Tar, so I will be right back in like 30 seconds.
Okay, so I saw this twice, and once recently with my sister, and she liked it a lot as well. In my opinion, I think Cate Blanchett gives the performance of the year.
Yes.
As an unlikable yet professional top-tier composer / conductor. And I love that director Todd Field just starts that at the top of the pyramid with her discussing about music and history and whatnot. But it's a gradual spiral downwards for her, in which she's existent in this cancel culture, in which anything you can say could actually backfire. And that's what happens because she's also a manipulative person, in which she thinks that she is omniscient over everything, especially in the music world. So basically, outside of that theater, she doesn't have as much control. So for me, I think it's like a Kubrickian contrast to Amadeus, in which there's music and creativity there. There's passion for it there. But I felt like the comfort zone is definitely challenged, and the controversial moments definitely surround her and catch up to her. Whereas an unfortunate event happens to Amadeus, whereas Tar, she did it to herself. But even though it is played by unfair tactics from other people, and you can compare her performance and her character to Daniel Day-Lewis's character in There Will Be Blood, in which those are two unlikable yet fascinating characters. So I think this is an exceptional film, exceptional like 2.5 hour film in which I didn't feel the length for me, in my opinion, because you really are interested in this character and also in her performance, because Blanchett, of course, is one of the top tier actresses that we have right now. And she and another performance that I'll mention later, that they're in another zip code, in my opinion. I think those two are the leading people in that race right now. And Noemi Merlant is really good as the assistant. If you know her from Portrait of a Lady on Fire, she's one of the women. And Nina Haas is her wife. And then there's Julian Glover and Mark Strong as well. So Tar is a great movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but
I
JD,
haven't
what are
seen
your
it
thoughts on
either.
Tar?
Haven't seen it either.
JD, yeah, he was asking you about Tar.
Oh, what did I think about Tar? Sorry, something with my audio. I agree that Kate Blanchett is definitively has no reason why she shouldn't have Best Actress in the bag. The movie overall, it's funny that you used the There Will Be Blood comparison, because I agree with you, but for some reason, I'm not sure. I liked the character. For some reason, there were certain points where the movie was losing me, and I still can't put my finger on it why it was losing me, because they are, as you said, very similar movies. Where it's unlikable characters, yet you can't take your eyes off them. But for some reason, I just, unlike There Will Be Blood, I wish that it was a little short. It was like 30 minutes shorter, and I don't know why. I can't tell you like objectively why I felt that. Something in my subconscious made me feel that, and I can't explain it.
It's very difficult to lose 30 minutes. It's going to be very difficult.
I agree with you. I agree with you, which is why I said why I don't get why I feel that way.
But anyway, Jordan, what is your number 2?
So number 2, yay! I get to talk about my biggest surprise of the entire year. That just like a movie that like up until I watched it, I thought this is stupid. Why did they even make this movie? I do not need to see this movie. It's not for me. But like it blew me away that much that actually I have Puss in Boots: The Last Wish as my number 2. And the reason why I decided to watch it is because it was getting such high review. I think it's like a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes. But just let me tell you, this is hands down the best animation that I've seen in any movie ever made. Like it's that good. Like it has things that remind me of like Spider-Man No Way Home. It has things that remind me of the best animation from any Pixar movie that you can pick out. Like the animation is just beautiful and gorgeous to look at. Like it's like the and it what I like is that with like something like a Spider-Man No Way Home, they do the same style throughout the whole movie, so it kind of gives me a little bit of a headache. But
yeah, I was gonna
sorry, Spider-Verse. Yes, Spider-Verse. Yeah. But but with this though, they only do it for like certain scenes. They do it for like some of the fight scenes when they're like running fast or there's like a lot of action happening. and like it just looks really really cool. And like I do not care about any of the other Puss in Boots movies. I don't, but like this movie, it had heart. It was just like it had fun action and adventure. I really like one of the voice cast. They have Harvey Guillen from What We Do in the Shadows, who plays Guillermo, doing the voice of the little dog in it. That he was a lot of fun, and I heard that like when he was cast too, he was just really on cloud nine, really excited to be a part of this movie, and yeah, it had Florence Pugh doing the voice of Goldilocks, John Mulaney doing the Big Jack Horner villain role. That was awesome, and like just like the places that they go and the things that they do, it's just a fun and amazing adventure. And slight spoiler, they tease the next Shrek movie near the end. You can kind of see it coming, and like I've been of the camp that like Shrek's over with. We've already gotten like 4 or 5 or whatever Shrek movies. We don't need another one. No, like I want another one. Like with everything like that I have. Like I want to see another one after seeing this movie. And it's just weird because this is a movie that like I looked. So last time I went to the theaters, like they made another Puss in Boots movie, and rolling my eyes like nope, I'm not gonna see that. But then I got talked into it, and man, like it was so much fun. Like that it made it all the way to my number 2. So yeah, it'll be Puss in Boots: The Last Wish for me.
I haven't seen Puss in Boots: Last Wish
I haven't
yet.
seen it yet either.
Yeah,
I have.
you would really like it, especially
I-
Brian, since you're a
I-
big animation guy. You
Yeah,
love
I'll
it.
probably get a chance to see it. Sometime this month I'll be seeing it. So
Yeah,
I want to see it. I've become very selective on what family-friendly movies I've decided to see in theaters, just because, not because like I love family-friendly movies. I love animated movies. That's not. I don't have like any bias against that. I have bias against the children of where I live. They are some of the where I lived in the theaters. They have some of the worst behaved children, and it just
yeah,
I can't do it anymore. I just can't.
yeah.
I can't do
understand.
it. I
Yeah.
can't do it anymore. So I become. It has to be a movie where the trailer, like the Mario movies, where it's just I'm so wowed by the trailer. Like I don't know if that movie's gonna be good or bad, or I'm like the property is just so. I'm so on board with the property that like Mario is, where I'm gonna go see it. But it has to be like when
That's why I advocate for a daycare at a movie theater. Leave the kids there and go into the movie.
they don't.
So-
Anyway, Jonathan.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
I did watch it, and this was one of the few last movies I watched in 2022, and it was surprisingly very good. I question like you, Jordan. Like, did we need another Puss in Boots movie after the first one, which I thought was solid?
Yeah.
To me, this was the best animated movie since Shrek 2 in the series.
Yeah. Oh,
It just,
yep.
oh wow.
I would say the exact same thing since Shrek 2.
I was
Yeah.
just the vibration. I mean, the vibration, vibrant animation.
Yeah.
What was I thinking about? Vibrant animation that is inspired by the Into the Spider-Verse. It's gorgeous. It's just wonderful to look at, and also it has a very great message underneath that story about the importance of family and about being blessed with the life that you have,
Yeah.
and just making it count by spending with the people that you care about and love.
Be happy with the
And that-
life that you're given. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, I cannot look, and I was questioning like some of those animation categories and other awards other awards categories, other award shows, and then Puss in Boots was showing up. I was like, huh? No, it should be
Yeah.
dominated for animated feature for sure.
Yeah.
I know that
Oh, yeah.
there are like
should be.
2 or 3 movies that are definitely are in more consideration. That Pinocchio's probably is going to get it for sure, but yeah, I highly recommend it in terms of animation for sure. Mm-hmm.
But for that, Brian, what is your number 2?
My number 2, this was been the run for a long time. Then it got moved to my number 2, and that is Elvis. This is a film.
Elvis is in my honorable mentions.
This is like my favorite. Well, out of all the musical biopics we got, this is like my favorite one. Also, about their best performance of the year, hands down.
Hmm.
He
Agree there.
he managed Elvis. Tom Hanks was good, had a good performance. Didn't like the makeup they used for him, but the mannerisms he did, like the scene that sold me in the film was the whole Christmas, the in fact dream sequence, like him on the talk show. That scene sold me on the film how great it was. That's my number 2.
It is my favorite Baz Luhrmann movie now. He definitely subverted the biopic for sure. Austin Butler walks away with the movie. Yeah, for sure. And
I think he's probably the best actor. I think.
Let's see. I don't know. It's like one day it's Fraser, one day is Farrell, one day it's Butler. Like it's those three for sure, but I don't know. Elvis is very good. It's a very good movie where I definitely felt his sorrowfulness throughout. Once it degrades, he degrades, and that Unchained Melody sequence at the end definitely gets you emotional for sure. And I disagree with you with Tom Hanks though. I think Tom Hanks's performance is a little cartoonish in my opinion, but underneath the makeup, but. I think I thought it was a very good movie, and it's definitely bombastic in those bright Luhrmann colors and frenetic editing that I usually abhor in his movies, but this one fits pretty well. So.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up Chris's comment here. Is like I disagree with his comment about Tom Hanks was mere in this. I think he was great. Like I think he was great as Colonel Tom Parker, and I think he's just one of those ones that I've always known Tom Hanks as these kind of likable characters. I think this was one of the first times he even played a character you just wanted to just punch in the face.
Well, the mate makes the case. Like maybe wanted to see Tom Hanks maybe play more of a villain in a movie.
So. I mean, I'd love to see him be a villain in the movie. I after seeing, and I mean. Arguably, he was the villain of the movie.
Circle,
Elvis,
but remember that one?
The Circle.
He was a villain in a segment of Cloud Atlas movie.
But anyone else with something to say on Elvis? JD.
Yeah. So I agree. I think we all agree about Austin Butler. He's one of the 3. I have a feeling it's going to go to Farrell because he'll have the tiebreaker of having 3 good performances in a tight year. But it could theoretically go any one of those 3 ways. I agree. I'm more in Kaler's camp when it comes to Tom Hanks. I think he is distracting. I agree he's trying to do a caricature, but when you have like a grounded performance, like Austin Butler's performance, and when he becomes the parody later, it's kind of a tragedy and it's played with realism, and then you have like this caricature in the middle of this. It's a weird. I struggled with the. I struggled with the weird tonal shifts between those 2 performances, but I think it's a fine movie. I think it's a great performance in a good movie. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those ones, but it's but. Yeah. But with that, we've had Brian's number 2. My number 2 is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
As a punt, huh? I mean, do you punt if it's number 1?
I mean,
maybe we can talk about it if you want.
We can either talk about it now or we can move on to number 1. But
let's do JD's number 1.
We'll go into number 1
as well.
Yeah. Sure.
But JD, what is your number 1?
So full disclosure, I actually saw this movie again today in theaters before it was because I had a feeling it was going to leave. It's going to leave soon. This film is painstakingly prepared to the nines, and then afterwards I went to go get a burger. It's the menu. I'm kind of satire. When there's a excellent satire, that generally ends up pretty high on my annual list normally. I'm a sucker for satires, and then horror satires on top of it. It's a combination that I'm obsessed with this movie. Anya Taylor-Joy is
Ooh, so good.
she's every time she's in a movie, I need to go see it. Whether I like that movie or
Amsterdam.
not, Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I have some controversial thoughts on The Northman, but even if I like or don't like the movie, I always think she's good in the movie, and she does her assignment. Sometimes I think just the assignment works in a bad. She's the movie doesn't. The roles don't work, but she's brilliant in this. I think the reveal that she's a sex worker pretty early on, and seeing a sex worker in this way is kind of an interesting hook and how observant she is that you pick up throughout the whole movie. And then her and Ray Fiennes is Chef Slavic. I love their cat and mouse game throughout the whole movie. And then Hong Chow. I didn't know the name before, but after this, I've learned the name because she has the whale, and then last year she was in. I didn't even know she was Osmandius' daughter in Watchmen last year. I didn't even realize the illegitimate daughter in Watchmen last year. I had no idea that was her. That was her.
I believe she was also in Downsizing, and wasn't she Dr.
she
Helen Poe in Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
She
Pops up in these movies, and either if I don't like the movie or don't, she's amazing. And she's a scene stealer, we gel, and then these are tortillas with that shows invoices of fake funds. This is a brilliant. It's just a brilliant movie. It's a wicked movie. As it revealed itself, and this kind of biting satire, I think it's the superior satire of the ultra wealthy. And Nicholas Hoult, going back and watching Nicholas Hoult in this movie, when you realize the twist involving his character that he knows the whole time, and then rewatching back how he plays everything, I think I just think it's a brilliant movie. Open up. I've talked too long. I've gone rambled again.
It's you forgot the thing of when you start talking, you got to. I'll go next just because it was on my list, but yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the menu is one of those ones I was surprised about. I heard a lot of people sort of praising it, because I know Richie was sort of praising it before as well. And it's just one of those ones that surprised me. I thought it was great. Because, I mean, the whole sound editing, I think, was just spectacular. It was especially when there's a lot of noise, and then every time Ray Fiennes claps his hands, just absolute silence. The way they edited those segments, it was just amazing. And I know I mentioned it somewhere else, but it's I won't spoil it, but the last shot of the movie I think it was just a really great artistic moment.
Yeah.
And just a lot of fun. Yeah. Everyone else, be quick.
Okay,
I didn't get a chance to get to this film for me. It's on Disney Plus, so I'm probably going to it soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, very quickly. So I do not agree. I don't think the satire is entirely successful, and I don't love the ending. So,
Oh,
but
I love the ending.
I
the
love it.
menu was fun. It's like you're attending a restaurant and you're having a good dinner, but you're full. But you cannot deny going back to that same restaurant. So I want to watch it again because I did enjoy the movie. And we had a lot of these satirical films about upper class society, 2022. And one, I don't think we're going to mention Triangle of Sadness, and I think Triangle of Sadness is very good as well. So I put this like probably third or last, but all of those three, that one, Triangle of Sadness, and Glass Onion, those are well worth for the watch. So yeah, I thought you were not going to single out Ray Fiennes because Ray Fiennes I thought was the scene stealer for me. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you want to talk about surprise consideration, I think Ray Fiennes should be.
Oh yeah, it should be. Yeah, I would
He
agree.
should. He
He
absolutely
should, but no, it's not gonna happen.
And I'll make
Um,
my comments just like very brief, but yeah, if you ever been to a 5-star restaurant before where like you literally don't really like choose what you want, they just bring it to you. And I've only done it once in my life, so I haven't really had very much experience, but I have done it, and it's very interesting to compare that to what's going on here. It's obviously very very dark, that like way darker than anything you've ever experienced before, but it just really like the pacing and the way that it's done, like the way that they make like the every single dish like a work of art, and then just and the way that it's presented and the sound design that Malcolm mentioned, it is just all brilliant. Yeah, and probably Anya Taylor-Joy was my standout, and I also uh, loved what they did with the ending. Like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone that might be watching, but yeah,
Wouldn't you eat?
that ending's
Wouldn't
It
you
was
eat that
just released on
burger?
HBO Max, so
Wouldn't
Yeah.
you eat that burger, Jordan and Kara? Wouldn't you eat that burger?
Oh yeah, I would
Yeah.
eat
I
that.
would. Yeah.
Yeah.
but anyway, I think I know what Kara's up was going to be. I mean, I think it's the only movie that's on everyone's list. Jonathan,
It's all about
I
this.
think we should add Jordan on the bottom as well because I think that's our number ones.
Yeah,
Is
that
it
is.
EEAAO? Yeah.
Yeah, EEAO. Yep.
Yeah, you should add Jordan's as well. Jordan number one as well. So
Yeah, we
Um,
could just make it all a joint.
yeah.
That'll be I'll have it number one.
Yeah.
Okay. This movie, holy crap! It has almost everything in this movie, everywhere, all at once.
Yep.
And but in the end,
Very
I think it's
appropriate
really
title.
about. So, in the end, I think it's basically about a disconnected family, a disconnected Asian family that is connecting through all these parallel universes to be a united family in the end. And it is told in an original, fantastic, beautiful way from directors Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, also known as the Daniels. And I did not like Swiss Army Man, so I was kind of apprehensive about this movie. But this movie was just excellent. Every minute of this movie was fantastic. You had to stay with the narrative as to this multiverse, and it's just a balance of chaos and the narrative in which you stay with the chaos with these hot dog fingers and this dong fight dong fights and
Yeah.
and these but also you have these universes of stardom and rocks and a marriage that are quite powerful in a way in which the first time I watched it, I was focused more on Michelle Yeoh's performance, in which she's a strict yet funny mother that transitions into a badass, tender person in another realm. And she's great. And that's the other actress I was mentioning with Blanchett, that they're in other zip codes. And look, you can make a case for who will win Best Actress, her or Blanchett. And I would be okay with either. But the second time I watched it, it was Kei Hui Kwan.
Short
Holy
round.
moly. For me, Blanchett and Kei Hui Kwan delivered two of the performances of the year. because Ke Huy Quan plays like a naive yet sweet husband that just wants everything in his marriage. And once you see through this parallel universes, the dialogue that he recites, it's just heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking, in which like all he wants to do is do the mundane details with his wife or with her in another universe. Like, that infamous quote with laundry and taxes that everybody's putting on
Yes.
the
In
internet.
another world, in another world, I would have loved to do the
Yeah.
taxes and laundry with you.
Yeah, and who would have
Yeah.
known that was romantic? And it's just a remarkable film, and I loved it. I mean, it's probably my number 2 A24 movie of all time now, behind Ex Machina. Probably in the long run, I'll go number 1. But look, and it's an ingenious, audacious, bizarre, heartwarming film with great performances from Yo, Hoi Kwan, and also Stephanie Hsu and Jamie Lee Curtis and James Hong as the father. He's good in it as well. So, look, I'm actually happy that it's getting all the accolades and attention that it's getting this Oscar season, and thankfully it's getting some steam for Best Picture. So, and we'll see if it gets the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan, thoughts on Everything Everywhere?
So yeah, this movie, this movie is one of those movies that just hit me like in a visceral way. I saw this movie 4 times in theaters. It was that good,
Wow.
and it
Is it your
came at a
128?
time where, yeah, it is. It's in my 128 movies of all time that we've done for tournament fights, and it wasn't one that I intended to see at that many times. It just came out at a time where there wasn't a lot of other movies playing that I was that interested in. But I'm like, Everything Everywhere All at Once is still playing, and I want to see a movie, so I'll just go see it again. That movie's great. And I remember that time that I saw it, I had a really awesome theater experience because I went to a little art house theater with my mom. My parents are recently divorced, and so I don't get a lot of time with my mom very often. So I went to go visit her, and we're just looking for something to do. We really didn't really have a lot of info about this movie going in, and man, we were just having so much fun just because it's like heartwarming in like all the best ways, but it's also fun and hilarious. I mean, even besides Michelle Yeoh and Ke Huy Quan, I mean, the girl that plays the daughter's great, Stephanie Hsu, and then Jamie Lee Curtis, who looks like she's having an absolute blast with this movie. She's just loving like every minute of being in this movie, and the writing too. The writing it's just so good because like there's just like so many messages of like the love that she has with her daughter, but then like she's struggling with her teenage daughter, where her daughter's kind of the mindset of like not being close with the parents, and like the mom's embarrassing, leave me alone, mom, that kind of thing. But then also she is also part of the LGBTQ community too, and like how she navigates that. And then also some of the quotes and the messages, like the only thing I know how to do is that we have to be kind. Please be kind, especially when we don't know what's going on. And like the whole movie, you can just tell these characters, they don't even know what's going on. They're like they're just trying to navigate what the heck it is happening to them after one thing after the next. And I don't know the exact quote, but there's a really powerful one where she was talking to her daughter, just essentially telling her that the only thing that she wants to be doing is spending time with her daughter. She wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world except for right there with her daughter. But then also you have like really cool action and like really hilarious scenes that like you wouldn't even think of, like they become rocks at like one point, and you just see little subtitles on there, which I think is great. And like you already mentioned, like the dildo fights and the hot dog fingers and all that stuff, and like all the unique ways that they navigate the multiverse, like they have to do something kind of interesting, like he takes a bite of his chapstick, or they got to do something to kind of offset it. I feel like they did the multiverse way better than what they did with Doctor Strange. Yeah. Like and like I still do like Doctor Strange. I don't hate it, but yeah, this movie just so good. Like to the point where it's probably one of the best movies that I've seen probably in the last 10 years for me. Like it's just like so good, and like even thinking of like some of the messages and stuff even gets me kind of like emotional just like thinking about it. So I need to not talk about it too much or I'm gonna get emotional. But yeah, so I'll just leave it
yeah, I could talk about it for 2 hours.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and Brian, was you what's some
Actually, this is my big blast of the year. I haven't seen this film yet.
Whoa, you have not?
Yes.
Ooh.
So
Well.
that means Brian, what is your number one?
Let's see it.
Hey, this is my number 4.
Yeah, JD's number
Oh
4.
yes, so JD,
So
what do you
I
think
wanted
about,
to say it. This was my number 4. The only reason it's not higher is I question whether or not I'm going to come back to this one as often as the top 3. But this is my issues with doing end of year US right at the end of the year. There's really like 5 years when you really are going to know what landed with you harder in the long run. So you're just taking your best educated guess. That being said, this and my number 5 has a lot to say with identity in your culture.
Yeah.
And that's why people are talking about Jamie Lee Curtis for Oscar buzz, which is a great performance, so I'm not going to deny it. But to me, when it comes to the supporting actresses, the standout is Stephanie Hughes. Stephanie Hsu. Because the way she kind of, again, she's an LGBTQ in a culture that doesn't accept that kind of thing exists, and that's why she's acting out. And there's like that telling line when it's revealed she's the big bad, and she's convinced the Evelyn, played by Michelle Yeoh, is like, and that's why you're gay. And she's like, wait a second, you've come all this way, and you're still hung up that I'm gay. How dare you? And so it's just like, and they actually posted this online, her audition tape for the role is one of the best audition tapes you'll ever see. It's there that that Stephanie Hsu is a star. So
made it look that up.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to quickly talk about it because I realised I didn't talk about myself. But yeah, I mean, like basically everything everyone always said, like I loved about it. Like this was my number one for the longest time until I saw the one that is now my number one because last week I did a top 10 over on a different channel, and this was my number one at that point. So in between then, I saw something else.
Number one,
but Brian, what is your number one?
My number one is Morbius. Kidding! It's Steven Spielberg's The Filmins.
Oh, I forgot about it. I forgot we had to talk about it.
Yeah,
this is a film where I walked in, and I had a good time. It's a great story with this family. Gabriel LaBelle did a great job playing this avatar of Spielberg.
Yes,
I quite enjoyed the family aspect with Paul Dano and Michelle Williams. Which Paul Dano, I think, could be a contender for the Oscars. He was great in the film. Love the family aspect with Seth Rogen and one of the best non-comedic roles as the uncle-esque character. The whole aspect for his character, for seeing how he discovers family, this gay split up with film, how he saw this one film and makes it his wonder on film, and I had a great time with it. Good score, Judd Hirsch, great cameo, good 5-minute cameo-esque. People are saying best supporting actor, but I don't think it'll be this is a 5-minute cameo-esque. And I had a good time with this, so film is number one.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, this is the movie. This is my number one as well.
Wow.
Like, yeah. Look, this is one of those ones that I didn't expect me to hit as hard as it did, but this is one of those ones that I could see myself in it because, like, there's a lot of sort of elements of like it kind of mirrored my life in a way. Like I studied for myself, like for the longest time. Like it's the main movies, like I'm kind of at the point where I drifted off, but now I kind of want to get back into sort of getting back into it, getting my own camera and all that. But this is just one of those ones that really hit hard for me. I mean, I think Judd Hirsch was in it enough to be a
Yep.
supporting actor. I think it was. I think it. I mean, definitely wasn't a cameo. Like to me, cameos are just blink and miss it kind of things. Like the best thing about is near the end where you got David Lynch playing John Ford.
Bigger surprise.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna comment that.
Yeah, no, I was looking. It's like, who the hell was that? I know that actor from somewhere. It's like, but then
Director.
it's like, well, yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I thought it was Nate. Like, there's a time for me. It's like, even though I knew it wasn't, I was like, is that Steven Spielberg under a lot of makeup to make himself look like John Ford?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it turned out to be David Lynch. And it was
Nice.
just a
That's
lot
what I
of yeah. Honestly, it's probably one of my favorites. But yeah, this is just one of those ones that I really loved, and it just kept me entertained throughout the movie. JD, I think you're the other one that had it on the list. What do you thought?
Me too.
Oh.
I had it on my list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
it's number 5. So 5 for 1, I'll be up front. You know, they jostled. 5 for 1 jostled it, where 1 at one point in time. So the Fabelmans at one point was 1. I think Malcolm, you and me are coming from this from a similar perspective, from where I'm a Jew. I'm a Jewish. I was a Jewish kid.
Same here.
I was raised in a Jewish family. The interactions with the first scene where it's like, where they're like, oh, the Christmas lights, or like, which house is ours? Where are the lights with no house? Where the house with no lights? The family dinner scenes. I've had similar family, like when all the family gets together during our holidays. I've had a scene where, oh, the kugels cooked you this way, and like those touches, are just, and also just, I've also struggled with my Judaism. It's one of the few religions where it's also an ethnicity. It's and when you're struggling with it, your first inkling is to explore other religions. And so while that people thought that was weird, I didn't necessarily do it that way, the way he did it, but like this was my life at a certain point in time. Like it was like, as I said, that's why I hate doing these lists now. I'd really like to know 5 years from now. I feel like my ranking is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those ones like I slightly disagree with you. Like, I think it's just one of those. I think that at the end of the year is too early. But it's just one of those things. But
Yeah.
before I go to you, I will just add in something that I did. I've completely forgot what I was going to add in. Now go.
Okay. So the first we had a lot of movies about movies, or the love for movies, in 2022, and the first time I watched it, it was that, in which it's basically a look back at Spielberg's childhood, in a way, and his love for movies, and through his Judaism, his youthhood, his puppy love, yeah, it was just interesting. But then the second time I watched it, I thought it was less about that and more about his family life.
Yep.
Because I felt like I was watching more a moving and heartbreaking cinematic photo album. And because we see him, hanging out with his family, and his friends. And also, he goes through ordeals like being bullied at school because of his Jewish heritage and his parents' divorce. It's and everybody has that, regardless of what you are, has that in life. But why are we interested in this? Because it's Steven Spielberg, of course. I mean, he's definitely one of the best filmmakers of all time. We love his movies. We adore his movies. And the way they build up to his passion for filmmaking and his future career, it ends on a great last 5 minutes with David Lynch, of course, playing John Ford. And he has some funny quotes, and probably one of the best last quotes.
Where's the horizon?
Yeah, one of the best. Yeah. Yes, one of the best last quotes in the movie. Like, if the horizon is top, it's interesting. If the horizon is in the bottom, it's interesting. If the horizon's in the middle, it's boring as shit. And that kills me.
Now get out of my office.
Well, yeah, put it gently like that. But
and also we get Greg Grunberg as well at the end.
It has one of the best uses of the F word in recent years.
Yeah.
But,
Yes.
but then it ends on a very, in an awesome and remarkable last shot in which you enter your dreams.
That's a good
And you
quote,
enter
wow.
into the moment where you're entering at the end of the rainbow, basically. And it's just that last shot of all these housing studios and a young child just walking and prancing around in a soaked alleyway, if you say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that The Fabelmans is I would like put it in the bottom of his great movies, but it's still a great movie. I give it 5 stars, and it was in my number 8.
One of the best picture nominations I could see.
It's gonna get nominated. It is losing steam in the best picture race, but for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But
I feel like
I love the movie as well. So yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a split for director and picture. I'm not sure how that split's going to go and to who, but that's what I'm thinking this year.
Well, I mean, like for me, I can see the split happening between screenplay and director.
Yes.
But
well, I was gonna say I'll keep my comments like very, very brief. So basically, they didn't make my honorable mentions, even the Fablemans, but the movie that I thought started off slow and it slowly went upwards for me. I liked it more and more as it went along. But I thought that Michelle Williams was completely overacting in it. She's like, golly gee, oh my gosh, like gee Willikers, I can't believe what's happening. Oh my gosh. So that kind of got to me. But beyond that, it was good.
Another good film with a monkey in it.
Yeah, I understand that that's the discourse, the Michelle Williams' performance, but I think it's just Spielberg's perspective because we don't know his mother. We don't know.
Yeah, true. Maybe that's exactly like his mom.
There's a documentary that HBO did a couple years ago called Spielberg.
Yeah, that
basically does a more factual kind of and touches on everything that you kind of see in the Fabelmans, but more factually. And it seems like his mother really was kind of that way. His comment in the documentary was she was more of a friend than actually a mother.
So yeah, I'm going to go to a slightly random tangent to talk about that damn monkey.
The monkey. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's
how many films does it appear in?
Surprisingly a lot. You will know this monkey because it was Dexter in the Night at the Museum franchise. It was Annie's boobs in Community. It was the monkey. It was the same monkey from the Hangover franchise.
Wow.
Nice.
Apparently, he appeared in the television movie Legends of the Hidden Temple. And apparently, he also had some appearances in Dr. Dolittle, George's Jungle, American Pie.
Apparently, when you need a monkey of that type, that's the monkey you go to. He's just basically that monkey.
Crystal the monkey. But yeah, that is brought us to the end of this. It went long, so thanks to anyone who stuck with us the whole way through. But yeah, next week's episode is going to be movies from Blumhouse, movies made by Blumhouse. Should be an interesting list. Normally I'll go to plugs, but I know Jordan's got to get out and do something else.
I'm going to get out too after.
So I'm just going to forego plugs tonight. You'll know where to see most of us, mostly anyway. And yeah, so basically to find us, all you have to just do is look everywhere, all at once. I screwed that up.
Yeah.
So,
It's all good.
All right.
but yeah, see you next
Take
week
care.
and keep listening, sir.